Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening, everybody. We made it to the weekend. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in. We very much appreciate all of you here tonight as we get into ghosts, paranormal activity, wendigo, skinwalkers, monsters, legends. Yeah, we don't usually turn guests around this quick, but I absolutely love Travis Willier moostoos, and he is back tonight. He's got a great shirt and tie combination going on here. He really does. Dirty Filth is here with the cartoons as well. But first, let's say hello to all of you. Logan L. in the gold medal position. Roy Boy taking home the silver. Well, let's say Race Fan in the gold medal position because this new system is kind of screwing him up. He's getting in way too early. Logan with the silver. Roy Boy with the bronze. Nightmare, how you doing, man? Mama Susan. Cosmic Floor. Lala Bright is here. Lala will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Hi, Obi Flett. How you doing, buddy? D. Cohen, Kathy Evans, Cat Chaser, and B, and Kathleen Hughes. Good to see you all. Our favorite Marine around here, Black Dragon, thank you so much for your love and support of SOR, and we thank you again for your service. All right, continuing on here, we got Jules. It's always good to have Jules here. Rui from Portugal. Nice to see you, my man. And thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. Hey, starting on defense, number 7 from Pattaya, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Very nice. Trisha, how you doing? And Trisha, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much, Trisha. Spencer Porter, glad to have you here. Robert Lamoth, Ann Palmer, nice to see you. Sugar Britches, Jessica S., thank you for coming on in. And who else do we have here? Let's take a look. Pixie Lara, Kevin Whipf, and Dirt Road, how are you? Hi, Nikki from Seattle. Nikki will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Continuing on, we love our Dirt Road, and where else are we going? Ozzy, oi, oi to you. Grand Paul Holland, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. And who else is joining us here? Invisible Tracker, nice to see you. Shiro Sounds, how are you, man? Nice to have you here. And Brown Dwarf, W. David Page, good to see you guys. Millennium, my man, how are you? And Pam Harris, always a pleasure to have you here. John Hinoyosa, welcome back. And there he is, everyone. It's Doug Shelby. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Hey, Cecil, how are you? Digger Dog, good to have you here. Midwest Night Watchers. I'm pissed off Evan. He's back. Now, what's pissing him off tonight? Bought some Halloween Hostess cupcakes, and they were less than stellar. That would piss me off, too, to be honest. Marty Burback, Little Kilroy, how are you guys? The Real Mom Skater in Twitch, welcome. You should come over to our YouTube chat, Real Mom Skater. We got a bunch of great people in here. Rain, nice to see you. Donna Spencer, you're looking lovely. Everyone's named Dave. I'm a Dave, too. Good to have you here. And Amy Vegas, oh, how are you, my friend? Tracy Moore, good morning to you. Or good evening to you. Little Marky Spender and Baxter, they are back. He's going on a hunting trip tomorrow, and he's all sad that he's got to leave me behind. I know. Little Marky Spender's upset. Okay, let's continue on here. YJ Overlander, good to see you, my man. Jenny, Tracy Scott in the UK, good morning to you. And who else do we have here? Jerry O'Brien, nice to see you, my friend. And there we go. Travis Willier Moostoos getting ready to come on the big show tonight. And we are just moments away. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you in advance to those who contribute. Also, you can do some shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. It works as well. Wear some of our great swag. And there's going to be more coming soon. TMI, Pete Leibel. And how you guys doing? Crystal Light, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. We got 10 seconds. I'm pumped up for this one. I really am. This is going to be a lot of fun tonight. And I hope you enjoy it too. Because, hi, Bill WD-40 over at Spreaker. It's time to rock. Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock Out, Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a great show for you tonight. Spooky stories filled to the brim with our good man, Travis Willier Moostoos. And, of course, then in hour number 3, the Swamp Dweller is going to join us for some spooky stories. Tim Senor will be back for the UFO report. Shirky Poo, if we got time, we'll have the news. Travis Willier Moostoos is a Canadian investigator of all things paranormal. His First Nations heritage of Cree has Thomas trained for the investigations of a lifetime, where he's experienced everything from ghosts to ET contact. And, well, because it's so close to Halloween, Travis, who was just on this show a couple of weeks ago, returns to talk about some of these old ghost stories and monsters he's uncovered over the years in his research. I'm going to keep the bio short tonight because I really want to get this show going. Travis Moostoos, it is a pleasure to have you here again, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. How you been?
I've been great, and it's a pleasure to be back, man. I'm happy to get going here, and yeah, I'm excited. And I've been excited for this day, so pleasure.
What was the response like from people around you when you were on a couple of weeks ago with us?
Oh, they were very interested and very, very pleased with the show, and I got a lot of good responses from fellow people and other paranormal investigators of alike and experiencers, and yeah, they said it was really good. It was really good. So,
right on. We're glad to have you here. One of the things that I absolutely love about you, my friend, and the reason why I wanted to bring you back so quick is you are just multifaceted. You're not just about ghosts. You're not just about UFOs. You're not just about cryptids. It's about everything for you. And it's about really getting into the entire phenomena that really pushes you to your limits. And you are somebody who's an investigator, you're a healer, you're a helper. Your First Nations descent, I believe, really helps you understand the phenomena more than what many of us can. You know, for people who may not have caught the show a couple of weeks ago, let's talk about quickly a little bit about you, for a couple minutes about you, about why you have made this a lifelong passion of yours.
Yes. as I started to uncover more, like I was just like I was curious about the stars and our cultures and our ways, traditional ways that is. And as I discovered more about it, like, and I thought I was like, at first I was like, oh yeah, this is like a a spiritual path or the red road, right? But I realized this is actually the human road. Like this is a path of my existence, and I truly feel like this is it is very all connected. And like you said, it seems like it's all put together, but yeah, like I feel like it is really all connected in that sense. So it has been my drive to discover more about it, and the more I think I know, the more that knowledge just keeps unloading. And then like I come in contact with some more people of my elders, and they share some more knowledge with me, and it's just like I said, it just goes into more of the the greater mystery, right?
It is the greater mystery of everything that we are doing out here. How real is this? You live this every day. You are investigating almost every day. You are researching. I mean, this has become a giant part of your life, to help people. Why did you put yourself on this mission, or do you feel that you were put on this path for a reason?
Yeah, as more knowledge is acquired, more knowledge then just like feels like it's gravitated towards me. So in a sense that it is like a path that just continues on and it leads on. And as I help more people, yeah, like that, it seems like they have more of an understanding of these things happening around them, and or they sense like maybe there's a part of them that they need to explore too. And that's to me that's all part of this this journey. So so to speak.
Let's get right to it, because you have done a number of paranormal investigations over the years, and you promised us you were going to bring us some of your spookier tales tonight, because we are close to Halloween. And before we get into those, I need to ask you this. Do you believe in the whole idea, that there's a veil that kind of comes over October, and it's the thinnest to communicate with spirit at this time of year?
Oh yes, yes. The changing of the seasons, and yeah, and then it like I said, this time is a very active time for all this like paranormal activity, whether it's the sky beings or if it's the spirits that roam our our earthly plane, the earthly the beings down below in the inner earth. But like I'm saying is yeah, this time is the changing of the season, so all the energy, everything's the planets shifting, so the magnet, like the electromagnetic fields are all kind of woo woo woo. And yeah, like I said, yeah, and then it comes time in the winter, we call that dream time, sleep time, the time for stories and the time for reflection and the time of visions. And so it's like yeah, so these changing of the seasons all play their part in the spiritual journey in itself too. So
Well, let's get right to some of your stories here. You've been doing this a long time. You've gathered quite a few stories over those years. Is there a story that really sticks out for you right off the bat that maybe got your own emotions going a little bit?
oh, like in terms of hauntings and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's been cases of people's like houses being haunted and whatnot, but like I said, the whole there was one case where these people were drinking at a party, and they were all drinking, and they were on their fourth, like it was like probably like a third week of drinking straight, and they said this man came into the house and he had another 2-4 and decided to drink with them. He sat down and started drinking with them, and for some reason this guy just kept getting more cases out of his vehicle, and just had an unlimited supply of alcohol, and they just kept drinking and drinking and drinking, and till the point where like they're like, holy shit, we're gonna die here, like what's going on? And then they finally caught on. They looked at his feet and they were hooves. He was a goat man in the flesh, like a shapeshifter. And they all went running out of that house scared out of their minds, and all of them quit drinking. And this is on our reservation.
No way.
Yes.
No way. So this skinwalker or Wendigo, whatever the hell it was, literally kept on bringing booze, probably to hope that all of the people in the house would eventually pass out drunk, so that way he could probably have his way with whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah, it is definitely we referred this one was like more like a goat man spirit. We referred to it as. Yeah. And then there was another instance where he was spotted at our four-way too, and the people stopped to pick up this hitchhiker. And before the back door passenger opened the door for him to get in, he hopped in with a hoof, and they're like, "Whoa, drive, drive!" And they just started driving, and he was just running as fast as the car, just looking at him and running, just like staring at the trying to get away from this thing. And yeah, it's a tale that's been around here for quite some time. This goat man as well.
How often is he seen?
Like spotted, that one was spotted. Like that was like a story from 4 years ago. The one where it ran beside a vehicle, and then there was another one where people were sitting in the field, and they were having a few like drinks and whatnot, and then it started coming around in the field, and when they were driving away, it was hopping after them in the field, jumping real high, like 30 feet in the air, just chasing after them.
That is amazing. Remind me not to party in your area when it comes to this creature here. Yeah, I'm not doing that at all. Not doing that at all.
Oh, that's pretty wild one there. But yeah, hauntings of all sorts. People, all over, like, the reservation, have some sort of like spirit haunting or something like that. But whether it's their own family coming to visit, or whether it's an evil one or something like that, then it's all taken differently in kind of different messages, right? And if the investigation does lead to it being like an evil one or something like that, then the house does need to be cleansed and cleared of that energy. And we do go about that in various ways and to different degrees with certain, trees and medicines of our area. And it's all it's all like I should say, it's all like to help cleanse the house and then bring forward the protection of their own energy. So like their own state of natural flow in the harmonization, right? So but a lot of these dark entities sometimes they'll be, like I said, my uncle was in that house with the goat man, and he said, or sorry, the man buffalo eater spirit, like the spirit of one, and it was just running in between the hallways, in between doors, like just like back and forth real fast and slamming doors. And he said it was so fast, like he was almost like thinking like this one might actually get me, but he's actually able to capture it that time. So, but like he said, it's kind of a battle sometimes too with the spirits in that sense too, when it comes down to it. And sometimes there's blessed weapons or blessed objects that are brought in to combat these beings.
Do you look to kill the beings? Is that what you part of what you do?
Yeah. Are we clear them out of the dimension? Yeah, exactly. With our.
I'm going to ask you a silly question here.
Yep. Go ahead, shoot.
Our good friend Swamp Dweller has a gentleman who has contacted his channel over the years, and we've always wondered whether it was real or not. But they called themselves the Hunters with a capital H. And this is a group of people around the world that literally go and hunt down monsters. Doesn't matter whether it's in Canada, the US, the United Kingdom, Russia, the Middle East, South America, wherever it may be. Are you one of these?
I would tell you, but unfortunately, no. I'm a guy who can deal with some of these beings and like knows how to, right? But yeah, like I haven't had no connection with the hunters though, so that's pretty that sounds interesting though, and I'm very much interested. So, but yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So how did you get training for all of these different kind of species that you have encountered?
Through a lot through ceremonies, and passed down teachings, oral teachings of the stories of the ancient days, and a lot of like I said, a lot of know-how with the nature, right? Like it's kind of there, and for us to use, and to, like I said, as tools to combat these things, because like I said, natural world and has this connection, and all the animal spirits and plant spirits and rock spirits, they all have a role, man. It's like all connected with that, right? And yeah, but like I said, it's years and years of ceremonies and stuff. So
Tell us a story here where you have had to become violent with one of these creatures.
yeah. So no, the violence of these creatures would come with if you have to fight them in the woods, and like I said, it's very different. You're fighting them in the dark, or you're fighting them in the astral world. There's been a couple times where I've had to deal with ancient, like almost like witches, but from ancient times, and they're just like flying up at me and stuff like that, and I had to use certain sages to trap them in this dimensional, almost like a dimensional, like a trap to get them hold of them, because they're just like they just wanted to almost like attach and just totally possess a person, right? So just trapping them in the dimensional space, and then there I said creating a portal and stuff like that to then transfer them into another dimension. But these things, like I said, if it's a physical creature and you're fighting them, like I said, there's a lot of ceremonies and you'll get a vision of what to use. Sometimes it'll be a bow, or sometimes it'll be a tomahawk, or sometimes it'll be a knife in itself. Sometimes it's blessed different things, right? Sometimes it's a water with a willow branch, and differently all these different like I said, trinkets or devices and things that we've used over time, right? So, but
now, does that just work for you? Like if I was out hunting, or one of our members of our audience was out hunting down a creature with you, would we be able to use those same tools as well?
that would be different, because we'd all have to be blessed in the ceremony, and maybe we'd have different weapons. We'd have different like I said, personal arsenal to bring. You know what I mean? Maybe
right.
More about the plants, and they know a little bit more. They bring that, and then there's somebody who knows a little bit more, or is better at the hunting, so they bring more of the weapons. And then there's some who are capable of capturing, or holding these creatures, and they're bringing them a hide that's blessed to capture or wrap these creatures in, to make them, to hold them down and actually take away their strength, and the ropes to actually hold them and bind them. I mean, these things are all these would be blessed for these people to use in these interactions. But
yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, so when you go out hunting for one of these creatures, let's say you're going hunting for a Wendigo or something along those lines, and I know some of these creatures, we're not supposed to say their names because it could actually bring them to fruition, but let's say you're going after one of these. Do you have, or does your First Nations elders say, okay, Travis, we're going to move you into this area, we want you to go deal with this? Or do they say, we want you to take people with you for your own safety? How does that work?
It would be a ceremony. So some of the headmen, or the medicine men of our area, would gather, and there would be a ceremony. A pipe would be smoked, and they would be conversing with the spirits, and then there would be a pipe that would be passed around to the warriors, and whoever is to take the pipe would be the one to go to fight. So that would be like the traditional way of that, how it would be taught, everybody would go, right? But there'd be instances where somebody would just have to go and fight, where their camp would just be all of a sudden, it'd be so nearby that they would just have to go. And if they didn't survive, and like I said, the whole family would be eaten by these things, and these things would stay in the camp and eating a whole tribe if they managed to kill all the warriors and everybody, right? And they grow. They get really big. There was one instance where the creature got so big that it was like as tall as a teepee, and just knocking over teepees as it walked into the tribe, and just eating people, ripping apart buffaloes. And this thing was massive. It was huge, and it was just tearing apart tribes that people, literally all the tribes, had to gather all their warriors to come against this big giant beast. And when they did, they were throwing spears, all these blessed arrows are hitting it, and it got so bombarded that it grew wings, and it flew into the space, into the sky, and it opened a portal, and it flew away into that portal, and the clouds closed behind it. and all the warriors stood there, all the weapons, all the gathered tribes looking at the sky, and they still say it's out there, that one.
Do you know what is that creature?
That's the Wheatgoo. That's like the Wendigo, but it's like a version of that. Like it's called the Wheatgoo in our area.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
And it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
As the more people it consumes, yes, and it can consume a whole tribe of 30 or 40 more people. Like it will still be hungry after, and still be traveling throughout the night. Never sleeps. Like, you know, these things. So if they ever do inhibit somebody or take, like, you know, like they have to be dealt with, and you know, there's various ways and degrees of that, right? So, but yeah, that's one of the tales there. That one of that Wheatgoo. There's other ancient tales too, ancient battles where there was a Wheatgoo and it was getting big in the tribe. This is like ancient days, and they had a ceremony and nobody wanted to take the pipe because they're all afraid to go and fight it. And then this little boy took the pipe. He walked up and smoked it, and everybody was shocked that this little boy took the pipe. So they had to live up to the word, and that was the law, right? So they had to send this little boy out to fight. But they asked him, "What do you request before you go on this hunt?" And he's like, "I request a bow and 4 arrows. I'm going to use that to fight it." So he went out and traveled into the woods, far deep into the woods, and on the 4th night he found it, and it was eating a buffalo. It was eating it, like just a whole half of a buffalo, just eating it. And he laughed, and he laughed at this little boy, thinking like, what is this little guy gonna do, right? So a little boy pulled his arrow back, and shaking hand, he let the arrow go, and it hit the tree beside him, and it just exploded. And that Wheatgoo got scared then, eh? So they went to battle. The Wheatgoo's jumping around, the little boy shooting the 2 other arrows, missing. And then finally he did get the Wheatgoo with the last one, and exploded. And the little boy went back with some of the claws of the Wheatgoo, and they, you know, that little boy ended up becoming Wasaki Chuck later in his life. But that was the tale of Wasaki Chuck.
Incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And you know, the fact that a young boy would muster that type of courage in order to take on a creature like this, that, you know, where most children, even most adults would run and hide, you know, underneath the first pile of rocks or tree stumps that we could find. You know, I mean, that's bravery at its best.
Yeah. Yes, and it's also another story of never to underestimate anybody. In our culture, that's like one of the things, like as taught, is a respect and the humility of every individual, because we're all spirits, right? At the end of the day, we're all these living spirits walking this earthly plane, and it's to be respected and taken as such. And yeah, that's also a little bit about that, right? Like some of these tales teach of that too, right? So. But.
Very much like David and Goliath.
Yeah, very much. That is right, right?
They seem to be connected.
Yeah, there's another cool story about how there was a medicine woman. She was walking through the woods at night, and the elders always told her never to stare in the water at the full moon, because she might see what she likes. And so she was staring at the water, and at the full moon, she went to go look and see. She was curious to see why they told her never to stare in there. And sure enough, there was a man that was on the moon. And then all of a sudden, he was just like a beam of light came from the moon, and he was there in front of her. And she was so shocked that she fell back into the water, and she lost her medicine bag. And it was like a stardust was in this medicine pouch, and it spilled all in the water. And all the deep sea creatures were able to get it, but the moon man helped her out, and he said, he's like, "Oh, you stay out of the water. There's a lot of deep sea creatures down there that are not very nice to land-based."
Travis, I'm going to get to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Spooky, weird stories with paranormal investigator out of Alberta, Travis Willier Moostoos. We'll continue it on the second half hour of Space Down Radio next. All right, we're clear.
See if I can see this one. I don't know if we could see this one, but there is a daytime shot of one I had got. I can't really see it, so I'll have to figure out how to send that one to you. But I wonder if I could see the cube now.
Well, here, let me make it large. Yeah, there's the cube.
Let me just get a better picture of it more closer up. So there it is. There's the cube. Look at that, eh? Do you notice that little dent on the bottom right there? Pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, I was listening to my last recording. I laughed. I was calling it embroidering. I meant embossing because it's like an embossing filter that filters out the background of all these pictures, right? And Mr. Bill Hauser helped me do these embossing. I sent him the pictures just to get a little second thought on some of these, right? So he ended up sending me back the embossing versions of these, and he thought they were all very interesting himself. But this one, almost like, I was starting to think about it and talk about it with my other buddy too, and he's saying that this one, like the ones that I thought were like, he's like, sometimes we see these triangles like the TR3Bs, and he's like, what if sometimes these power up so much that we see them as like the pyramids or the triangle ones? He's like, what if those lights like actually light up and look like a triangle? But I was just gonna say, here's that other one here though, with this one I always liked this one. This one was always my favorite here, this boomerang one.
Yeah, that one is kind of cool.
Yeah. See, so now I got kind of a better lighting for all this stuff, but yeah, we're seeing, like last night we were seeing 3 of them. They're like flying around in the sky, and I couldn't take pictures of it or videos. They're so high up, but they're up there, and I mean, these things, like, they're around in the sky. They're up there. And here's another one of that. Here's that one of the
yeah, right in the northern lights there.
And you could see that the light. You can kind of see the little ship lights on it. I don't know if you can.
Hold on, let me zoom in again. That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, you can actually see that the ship lights on there. But yeah, so it was very cool. Like these pictures I've been getting though, they've been like over the past like 2 years, like because like I've been so like I got into astronomy. I was like looking at all the stars, and looking at all the planets. Yeah, exactly. And then I just started noticing these things flying in the sky. I'm like, whoa, like, hey, I got to start documenting some of these and taking pictures of them when I can, and videos. And
absolutely. Hey, I got a question for you from Dirty Filth, our cartoonist. He loves that blue painting behind you with the triangle. He's wondering if you would sell it to him, or you guys could make a trade for one of his cartoons.
That sounds excellent. Yes, that's the Arcturian, dimensional Arcturian, higher. I guess I should say a higher dimensional being. Yeah, they open portals through time and space, and yeah, they're almost like masters of the MST. So I mean, they are masters of MST. So yeah.
Well, Dirty, you have to hook up with Travis on Facebook.
Sorry.
Your microphone's gone real quiet.
Oh, it has?
Yeah, there it is.
I have it on a loose charger, so every now and then that charger like pops out on. Anyway, but yeah. So yeah, I'm very interested. I'm pretty sure I got your number there, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got Dirty Filth. Yeah. If you go into our private chat, he'll put his number in there. He's in Edmonton, so he's nice and close to you.
Right. Yeah, I'm always down there too. I'm always around there. I was just down there last week doing a stunt, fighting each other with knives for about a week. You know what I mean? Real warped reality. But it was all sorts of action packed. Falling theory, everything. Doing all that sort of stunt choreography, and like I said, fighting for film. So it's really cool. That's at the stunt garage. Yeah. Based out of it. Cool.
One second. All right. We got about 35 seconds here. Good old Dirty Filth. Working on We Don't Know What the Hell Yet. All right, 20 seconds. Thank you so much to Robin, Lara, Tracy, and Trisha for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support that you guys are giving us. Thank you to everybody who's so far given us a thumbs up or thumbs down. Hit subscribe as well. It helps our algorithms. And here we go, the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Travis Willier Moostoos. We are talking paranormal events and scary happenings from all across North America that he has personally investigated. Being of Cree descent, he deals with a lot more ancient and a lot older creatures than we could ever identify. And it's so much fun learning about this. Travis, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, I'm so grateful to be here and speak and talk about these stories and share them. Yeah, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm happy to be here.
I'm going to get you to wiggle your microphone again because you are cutting out a little bit there. But out of all the creatures that you have investigated, what has been your most challenging creature or ghost to date that you've had to deal with?
Like I said, a lot of these dimensional beings, yeah, they all have their own ways and their own interesting tales to them. But yeah, like I said, there was one that was just haunting a place and totally causing a ruckus for everybody. So I pretty much went in there and I was dealing with it was like it was like a giant spider or something like that, it was like a dimensional thing, but I ended up having to get rid of that. And it was, like I said, that one was very tricky because it was almost like it was very hard to capture and it was very sneaky. And that one played a big role in like it was messing with a lot of the people's dreams and mind. And yeah, that was a very, very interesting one in a sense. So
has there been a creature that's ever come back to haunt you after an investigation?
Oh yeah. Like every now and then I'll see the one shadow figure. There was one guy, it was like he almost got away for a little bit there, and then we ended up capturing him. And then every now and then I'll see like a glimpse of the shadows just from those times and those moments, like just kind of standing in the background, just like, just off the peripheral. And then you see it again and you're like, you know what I mean? Things like that, but other than that, it's just like I said, most of the time we deal with these things, and we do our best to like I said, keep the attachments off through our prayers and our ceremonies and the wearing of our, like, if we have to wear protection or shields or anything like that, then we'll bring those along. Be sure to bring them along. But yeah, there's moments like that.
What's your latest encounter that really kind of moved you a little bit?
The one that moved me a little bit was we did an investigation at it was like a mass grave in our reservation. There was a not smallpox, the Spanish flu. It was an pandemic back in the 1918, and there was over 79 or 89 people that were buried in that one mass grave. And they were just kind of forgotten. The souls, nobody knew who they were or can't remember who they were that were buried in that massive grave. And this is like, 100 years ago or more. And so we went out there, and we just wanted to go see if there was anybody who wanted to say hello, or if there was any still, like, activity and whatnot. And this is an ancient grave, so we're there. I'm saying, I'm like, Tansik is ago, like, you know, trying to ask, hello, what's your name, you know, and talking in Cree to them. And there was no, like, there was a little bit of fuzzing here and there, but it wasn't too much. And we're like, okay, but we're getting a lot of readings on the K2 meter out in the wilderness, right? Like where there would be no electronics or anything. So we're like, okay, so it was right off the bat, and then it kind of died out, and we're like, okay. But then we're driving away, and then there was these 3 little white birds that just flew in front of the truck for a little while, and they just kind of flew off. So they were wanting to communicate with us in a nature way. You know what I mean? Not through electronics. They wanted to communicate through us through nature and show that they're all around us in the world. You know, and it was a beautiful moment. You know, that we realized our ancestors and our people are always around us in nature, and yeah, they were there to make that connection and show that symbolism through that. So.
Do you have any ghost stories that you have investigated that also tie to the aliens or cryptids that you could share with us?
Yeah. There was a few people who came to me, and they were concerned about having they felt like it was a data chip inside of their legs and inside of their leg, and one had one on the back and stuff like that, these little bumps. And I was like, all right, sure, I can investigate into these. And they were very sure like they were tracked and they were getting abducted and stuff. And yeah, it was a very heavy ET presence in their lives, and they were very concerned about it. But from what I got was like in terms of like what I was able to investigate was the beings were there. They were marking them so they can make their round to them to heal them, to get to help them. It was like I don't know if it was like to help them with their condition or something like that, but it was like something like along those lines. And then sure enough, they didn't even know in the next month. I was like, yeah, it should be gone within the next month or so. And they didn't even know when they got picked up or got, you know, worked on. All of a sudden the thing was gone, and they were like, hey, you were right, it's gone. And you know, and I feel a lot better. And I'm like, yeah, this is probably what it was then. You know what I mean? These beings probably come by and fixed you, and you didn't even realize it, because nobody really does. Like, it's just kind of like a dimensional light that just kind of picks you up, and you know, you can be in your house or wherever. You know what I mean? These things somehow, you know where you are, and that's kind of the cool thing about that. So, but yeah, a lot of healings and a lot of different visions and dreams where people have been having. Seeing UFOs, and they've actually seen them crafts in the sky, and they've gotten more into it. And yeah, like I said, that it's been a journey for them, an ongoing journey. So like yeah, there's a heavy UFO and encounter experiences and stuff like that in my investigations, a lot of them. So
Do you find that with a lot of ghost stories that the spirits are the ones who need to be healed just as much as those whom they're haunting?
Oh yes. For example, this like, you know, we do have ceremonies, like offering ceremonies to help the ones who are starving on the other side, and we do ceremonies to help like the ones who have passed over that didn't get the tobacco to make it to the next realm. We do tobacco offerings and things like that. So some investigations do require where the beings have to be helped to the other side. There was one house where there was a crying woman spirit in the basement, and she was just crying and bawling, dressed in these hides, and nobody knew why. But here she was lost, and she needed tobacco to get to the other side. So we had to do a tobacco offering and stuff like that. And like I said, offering fire, and yeah, it was pretty, you know, like that was a good investigation, because the house wasn't haunted after that. And yeah, the people were very interested in hearing about the crying woman spirit and stuff. Yeah.
What is the power of tobacco? You know, I have learned from my First Nations friends that tobacco is very good in a peace offering, especially towards cryptids like Sasquatch. But what is the power of pure tobacco?
It's almost like it's like a gateway in all of our ceremonies. It starts it up. It opens up the paths to the spirit world, and it's that connection within the spirit of that tobacco that connects it all. And it goes part to our when we're being created here by the constellation beings. When we're being created, when we say we're created by all the elements, we're also created by all the plants. Like the plants had given us gifts too. Like for example, when you skin the tree bark off an aspen poplar, it's white inside. That tree, the tree supposedly gave us our bones. And then you go to a raspberry, and a strawberry, they're in the shape of a heart, and these are heart medicines as well. And that's why that we consider it the heart plant or heart medicine plant. And you look at a blueberry, and it's the blood. It cleanses the blood. It's a blood medicine. It has a star on the top because we're a star-being star nation, right? And you look at, like I said, like all these things are connected in that sense. And yeah. So like I said, like the animals and a lot of these beings that like we're all connected to them through the plants and the animals. And tobacco is one that said, hey, well, I'll give my spirit in order for them to communicate with the spirit world and walk this path. And it's also an offering, like it got held up there with the creation spirit as well. And like I said, that even like some of the animals, the fur bearing animals had their part in playing part of the creation story too. Like the moose, for example, was a little bit upset. He wanted to be the leader of all the fur bearing creatures on the earth. And creation said, no, sorry, but the buffalo will be, because you hide too much on people. And so the moose was like really upset, and he wanted to charge the buffalo. So the creation put his paw print on the moose's head and said, no, but you'll still play a huge role in the spiritual aspect of all of the beings on earth and whatnot for the colonies and tribes on the earth. And so that's why we use a lot of the offerings of the moose in our ceremonies and stuff. But when we still use the bones and the fur for all sorts of crafts and different tools and methods for continuing our ways, right? And like I said, the buffalo is still the main leader of all the fur bearing animals because of its bravery, and just like it kind of knew its purpose in spiritual realm. Like it had its purpose to stay there and be used as a resource for our ways of life. And that's how come it stands there when it gets killed. Like
takes it like a champ. Yeah, I could totally see that. I want to ask you, out of all the ghost encounters you have had over the years, the biggest one that has scared you on this plane, not the astral plane, but on this plane, what's the one story that continues, no pun intended, to still haunt you?
Yeah, the one there's like a bunch of them. Like I said, the ones with the buffalo spirits that haunt the houses and break the houses down. The ones of the Wendigos, the ones that still haunt people, and those spirits need to be dealt with too, and wards need to be put up in certain areas. But one that truly is freaky still is when I was out on a vision quest there, I was seeing things like in the woods and whatnot, and they were testing me. And one just come running up, like a big creature just came up running to me, and then I noticed it was a huge bear with red eyes. And then just as it was coming up to me, when it became a person, and he was standing there smoking a cigarette and with a round cowboy hat. And I was so freaked out at that moment. And like I said, those things happen, right? And shapeshifters are real. And it was a test to see if I'd run out of the circle, because then if I did, he would be able to kill me. But that was these things are real. And yeah, like I said, shapeshifters are real. There's a lot of stories in our area of them, and all sorts of beings, like alligator people and whatnot. And like I said, it's a pretty wild one, especially when it comes to like I said, all these different beings that end up trying to come take your life when you're out on some of these vision quests or ceremonies or these journeys in life. And yeah, we just got to stay prepared and be connected to the universe and stay strong and not let that fear in. I guess that was the tale of that. But
I do have to ask you about the alligator men. What the heck are alligator men?
Okay, so so I'm wearing these, right? One of the days I'm walking around one of our gatherings. This is this summer, and this elder approached me, and he's like, I live with them, you know that, right? And I was like, say what? And then he's like, I lived with them, the alligator people. And I was like, these guys? And then he's like, yes. He's like, I grew up in the mission till I was 17 years old. He said he was very abused and hurt in the mission. He told me these horror stories. And when he left, he was an orphan boy. So he was living on the streets, and he grew up to be about 18, 20 years old. And he was just just real poor in the streets. And then this woman walked by and said, hey, I like you. Want want to come live with me? So he did. He went to live with her, and in the city, right? And he stayed there, and she went with him, and they went when she was going with him, like in the bed, her eyes changed, and he noticed this, and he's like, whoa, and but he stayed there living with her, and they had 4 kids, and the kids had little alligator eyes, he said, and little scaly arms, and they always wore sweaters because to hide this, and he lived with them for many years, well, for a few years, but they kept, like, they weren't like regular human children. They were more like reptilian children, like alligators. So they just defecated themselves. And it was real messy in the house, and she wouldn't clean up, and he was always cleaning up. So he kind of got sick from cleaning all that nest or whatever, right? And so then he moved out and he left, and he continued his life on after that. But that was the last time he ever seen her or those children.
That's just scary. Just absolutely scary.
Yes. Yeah, but the reptilians and like those, like I said, there's stories of civilizations in the inner earth, and the battles that happened above ground, right? And there's tales about them, like I said, they'd fly up from caves in the ground and land, and they'd come and capture women from tribes and fight the warriors and cause havoc for tribes, and people had to fight them spiritually. And it came to the point where some of the people were blessed with the ability to use thunder. And the guy literally was a thunder warrior, and he had a tomahawk that when you'd raise it to the sky, thunderbolts can be hit the ground. And this reptilian was just freaked out because there was 3 of them running at him. All of a sudden, one of the lightning bolts hit him, just blew him into dust. And they were just freaked out, and then they just like, they got back. They went running back because this guy was able to use harness lightning, and they went running back to their ships, and they got back in and went flying back into the inner earth. But all these civilizations are down there, and antler people societies, and like I said, like these reptilian civilizations, and actually ancient humans too. And a lot of these civilizations came from the third world, and a lot of the natives too came from the third world, as well as the temple builders of Chicoya mounds and all the Mayans, and you can name it across the Turtle Island. We all came from a little bit from the Atlantis societies, and a lot of these inner earth dimensions and beings were actually after the cataclysms that had befallen Atlantis because of the forbidden laboratories and the mantids and reptilians causing all that. A lot of these societies were banned underneath the inner earth, and they still live there because of this law that's written in spirituality. And some of the natives, like I said, they spread out all 4 corners of the earth. Like this is talking across to from Giza Plateau to you name it, like Mesoamerica to all across to China, Japan, where all the temples are built and constructed in these similar patterns in various ways. But this was like part of that race that expanded in that sense. And like I said, there was a lot of that happening too that came to ancient Native America as well. And a lot of these different beings, like some of the Hopi people had to spend inner earth too as well for that. And the Great Spirit Eagle said that we weren't allowed to build cities anymore because we had lost our privilege in the third world. So we had to relearn how to live with the earth again and harmonize with the earth. And so like I said, these tales are across Turtle Island, and like I said, they're there, right? And these beings, like I said, they exist in the inner earth, and it all plays together. And yeah. I don't know if you have any questions for me on that, but that's
just amazed. We got 5 minutes to go before we need to go to break here at the top of the hour. Travis Willier Moostoos is our guest tonight on Space Down Radio. Travis, for yourself, where you go into this, how do you protect yourself from these energies?
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of different connections. People will have to find that for themselves. A lot of times it's there's a lot of different sages burnt. Like I said, Pisamasagan, which is a different kind of fungus that we use out here. We use that a lot. Sometimes we'll use like I said, mountain sage. The real mountain sage works. And like I said, sometimes we'll use sweetgrass as well too. Sometimes, like I said, there's barriers that are made with tobacco like circles that are made with tobacco, and sometimes there's rocks that are made too, like in formations and stuff for protection on lands, and yeah, all sorts of little things that people take with them. Sometimes shields, sometimes they'll take blessed weapons, like I said, in the sense. Sometimes these creatures need to be hit dimensionally because regular weapons won't work.
Okay. So the fact that they don't work, and you have to get weapons that are blessed. I mean, what about some of these old legendary folklore stories, like werewolf can be killed with a silver bullet, or you got to, stab the devil in the heart with a dagger, things like that. Are those true?
Yeah. The whole silver thing, you got to think about it. It's another part of Earth, right? The metal. So that's a deep connection there with that. And yeah, with the whole like the stabbing of the heart thing, that's pretty true too. And then you would also have to take the head of a Wendigo as well, to truly kill it and stop the spirit from leaving the host and traveling to another one. But yeah, it's or sometimes even these things like you'll have to bury them. Whatever these attachments, some of these things are attached to. Sometimes you'll have to bury them to get rid of them in the earth, like the mud itself, or you know what I mean. Like some of these things like are very powerful in themselves. The oldest spirits in the world are the rocks and stuff, and I have a tale to continue on that as well. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Totally see that. But with 2.5 minutes to go, do you carry on you protection like outside of your weaponry, like sage or Palo Santo wood or other eagle feathers or whatever might be spiritually cleansing?
Yeah, sometimes like it depends on the various degrees of what it is, right? And sometimes tobacco will have to be laid down and different things, but yeah, we will carry like feathers and stuff like that. There's a reason why the ancients would our medicine ways and traditional ways why we wear the headdress, and this was not only a war bonnet, but it was also worn by our medicine men too as like a spiritual protection, and so the minds wouldn't be affected by say a spirit trying to take over or inhibit another, inside of them, you can take them over or turn them into something evil, or you know what I mean. But yeah, sometimes the headdresses are worn too as a protection for the mind and from spiritual attacks.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. How often do you have to pace yourself through these missions? Like it's probably not something you could do every day.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a lot of time and a lot of consultation with the spirit world and sky world, right? Like the sky nations, right? And we call it Pisago, sky world, and to be connected with that, right, and talk with that and really console with it before any missions that are taking place in such a manner. But yeah, it's like it's always to be consoled with the sky first before any sort of actions taking place like that. So
have you ever been called off a mission?
Called off missions, yes. Yeah, there are some that I just don't like. I wouldn't go for, like I didn't go for, and that was like early in the days there. Just because some things are like I said, was just too much. Like it could have been like I wasn't ready to be part of that kind of deal.
Right.
But like there were certain times where I wasn't allowed to go and investigate or be a part of those situations or things. So, but yeah, there's like I said, people understanding, you know what I mean? Like there's levels to understanding and levels to sometimes levels to the people there that are there, and yeah, just like just anything else.
Well, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because it's hard to believe we're already an hour down. And I know you have a lot more monsters to talk about when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Travis Willier, moostoos, monster hunter, paranormal investigator, alien investigator. This guy does it all. And he's so eloquent with it as well. That's why we love him here on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into the monster talk next on the Mighty SOR to kick off hour 2. All right, you're clear.
Back.
Yeah, me too. Dirty, we're turning it over to you, buddy.
Well, that's all right. Luckily, I'm here to draw cartoons. Don't worry, Dave. I'll take care of it while you're gone.
I know you will.
If I was at Dave's house and he just left me alone, I'd totally shake up one beer and put it in the fridge. And then he'd come back and he'd look at the beer that's unshaken on the counter. And I'd pretend to look at that beer all wily. And he'd go, "Oh, I don't trust you, dirty filth." Then he'd go into the fridge and put the unshaken beer in the fridge and grab the shaken beer. And he'd think he's got me, but he really didn't. That's totally what I'd do. Now that it's recorded on the show, he's not going to know. Am I lying? He's never going to take a beer from me ever again. Hilarious. Sometimes they kill me. Well, happy Friday anyways, everybody. I had pizza. It was nothing fancy. It was just a simple cheese pizza. Because nothing beats a plain old cheese pizza once in a while. Kevin McAllister special. Oh, I really should have waited for that red to dry a little bit, but well, never learn. Well, Jess comes supposed to enter. He's got a Eddie Petch has a dirty joke for me. Fire away. Hey, Bob, check it out. If three white horses fell in the mud. Oh, boy. I'm sorry, I can't draw or color cartoons and read the chat at the same time. That's just mind-boggling. I don't know how Dave does it. Send that man a ham. Actually, send him a bucket of Taco Bell. That's what Dave needs right now. Or a UFO taco. That's always good. See, check it out. UFO taco right there. And Crypto Brew. There we are. Anyways. The cloud's a little dark because it's going to rain in the mountains there. I didn't actually draw any mountains on the cartoon itself, but that's all right. It's in the forest. That's usually where this guy hangs out. He's large and hairy. Now I think Dave and Travis are on an extended break. Cat fuzz. If anyone's wondering, I think I said it before. If I could have any pizza in the world, definitely feta cheese, pineapple, and jalapeno. It's a little burny, it's a little salty, and it's a little sweet. But I pretty much eat any pizza. Cheese pizza is always good. If I go to the Italian place from my house and get a pizza there, they'd probably pipe me in the kneecaps if I got pineapple on it, though. But they don't have to know that.
All right, I'm back. You're dirty, by the way.
Yeah, that's me.
E. Cohen wants to know how they find your book on Amazon.
You can just plug in cryptid cartoons on Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, and the author will be Klaus Meigner.
Pronounced Kloos.
Yeah, it wouldn't just let me use filth. So my web witch goes, you can't just use one name. I go, well, Prince was a symbol. He's probably got a book. I don't know if Prince has a book. That was my quick defense at the time. It didn't work out. She shut me down, and I had to use my alias. When I take a taxi cab alias.
All right, we're 20 seconds away from launching here. And I want to say thank you, Filth. We're going to mute you. We're going to go big here. Thank you to Tricia, Tracy, Laura, Robin, and Eddie for the super chats. Very much appreciate it. And Neil Attenbury, we want to know if you're coming back to Vegas with us this year. Here we go, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Absurdism. Absurdism is your chat room password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Travis Willier, moostoos. We are talking all sorts of legends and creatures that he has tried to get a hold of in his investigations. Sometimes he'll wrap his hands around their neck and give them a good shaking and say, hey, what are you doing over here? Other times it's a good stern finger shake. I'm no haunting here. Travis, welcome back, my man.
Yes, I'm pleased to be here and share some of these stories. And there's like a few investigations that just got too out of hand, and I'm still dealing with currently in investigating. There was a haunting that my cousin was dealing with where he was actually becoming possessed, and it actually did take his life. And there was one moment where I was like shaking it out of him. He's talking about shaking it. I was shaking. I was like, hey, come on, man. Like, come on, come back to me. Like, this isn't you. He was like going absurd, like just like insane madness. Like, and then he just popped out and he's like, I love you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please. This isn't me. I'm sorry. I love you. Let go of me. And so I was like, all right, I let go of him. And then thinking it shook out of him or something, right? And then and sure enough, he was walking back, and then he started whistling at the woods, and then the woods whistled back at him. And I was like, okay, this is something more beyond. And he was always saying that he was becoming the demon, and this thing was going to take his life and his soul. And eventually he did die. He did die from overdose, and he was 21 years old. But I'm still investigating that, and still dealing with that haunting out there in that household. So that's one current investigation that I've been dealing with.
Gee whiz. I'm sorry to hear of that about your cousin there.
Yeah. He's still with me on the other side. He still tells me everything. He's become a big part of my my investigations. He's still there, and he tells me all these things, and he's like, I was the only one to truly understand his situation and believe them. And it was sorry, just kind of get a little choked up, but yeah.
Well, I don't blame you. It's good to have another guide on the other side. That is for sure. I want to ask you, how often does this get personal? How often does this get very personal for you in that sort of way. Does that happen often?
A lot. Yeah, it's always a lot of that. Like a lot of the investigations and things come from the family as well, and people of our area. And yeah, I help out a lot of people with that. And just like I said, it is always a personal thing, because like you go into these houses and they're your families and stuff like that, and sometimes just dealing with some of these things, these beings, and yeah, and it does get a little personal like that in that sense, and you start to understand a little bit more about the situation and how it progressed or how it happened, and and like I said, some of these things are personal, right? And but yeah, most of the time it really is.
Give us a story, if you don't mind, that involves little people.
Oh, all right. Did I tell the one about how they came down from the moon and stole all the village meat?
No, tell us that one.
All right. So this is back in the days, and the Mimicsui came down from the moon, and this was after the harvest, and the village was filled with food. So they took all the food, and the people woke up the next morning with no food, and they're all starving and hungry, and there was no animals around. So then they ended up, the Mimicsui felt bad about the people's anguish. So the next night they put on the full moon for the people to go and hunt and reclaim all the land's food, all the tribe's food, and refill all their stores as well.
Now, for people who may not understand the little people, why are they such tricksters? Why are they such game players?
Oh, it's in their nature. Sometimes it could be what the people offered them too, can make them a little trickier. Sometimes I've heard stories, don't offer them too much chocolate, because then they can get real tricky after that. And little things like that too, like never take from them, never take their houses or anything like that, or they'll cause problems for your like I've heard of people, like they messed with the house and then their vehicles were destroyed or wrecked, like their interior, their wires were just severed in ways they couldn't believe it, and like they started having little rings and things going missing from their house, and people were like, like they talk about that, and they're like, hey, you should have never messed with that house, like they know where you live, they'll find their things, like they have some sort of like connection to that. And but yeah, they have they've been known to do that, or they'll come poke some fun just to get people like to know that they're around there or they're in their area. Like people were bothered, and like recently when they're gathering teepee poles for our arbor, or sorry, poles and willows for our arbor. And they were out there in the woods camping in the teepees, and little people were bothering and picking at them because they were taking trees right from the woods, and so they had to pick a new area to go get trees from, because the little people were starting to poke them with little sticks and waking up with little jabs in their arm, and yeah. So yeah, they do get crafty like that.
How do you get on their good side again?
Oh, okay. They enjoy like when people are harmonious with the trees, the plants, and they enjoy that respect. They see the people's respect towards them, the little offerings. Sometimes people will leave offerings for the tree, like such as tobacco or different little like I said, they'll leave trinkets and stuff. Like sometimes I'll make little like objects out of clay, like little squares, little triangles, or make little round little balls for them to mess around with, or little things like people leave stuff with them, like for them in that sense. Sometimes they like shiny little things too, like little tiny, like I said, rings and stuff like that. But like I said, that's up to people. Leave them little like pieces of metal or gems or stuff like that. Yeah, they do enjoy stuff, and that's one way of getting on their good side. Like I said, like they come say hello to me when I was on the fast there, but through Dream Realm, and they were able to come and see me, and they come put a little ball orb in my hand, and then they went running off and just laughing. I just remember hearing the laughs. I can still hear it in my head, like laughing. And it was just like the most like I can't like just like a little crowd of little laughs just running. And it was I still, like I said, I still hear it clear as day in my mind. And but yeah, like these things are they're real, and they're, like I said, they're part of our earth and our nature, and yeah, like I said, they're highly esoteric. So they I should say approach beings that are vibrating on a higher level, that are connected with the earth, and you know what I mean, connected with the earth is like you're feeling that frequency when you're out in the woods, and you're with a light open heart, and you know what I mean, you have no malice, you have no fear of being out there, you know what I mean, you're kind of learning from the woods in a sense, you're studying it, and you're taking this download of information and just being in the woods itself, right? And yeah, there's like I mean, like the sounds and feeling, the smells, like it's like I said, this is all information just downloading in your mind when you're out there. And yeah, that's just like, that's one way of getting on their good side and seeing them or encountering them or becoming more acquainted with them, I should say. So
have you ever investigated any haunted forests?
yeah, there was a haunted dog. There was an evil dog spirit in the woods one time, and I was with my cousin, and this dog was, we didn't even know who it belonged to or anything. It was real big, and but it came up and it was like pretending to be real like joyful and stuff, and they ended up shooting it, and it just stood there, like half its face was off, and it was just still like looking at them, and it just started darting around until they shot it again, and then it was gone. Like it was you know what I mean, but it was like trying to dart around and still attack without half a face, and like, and yeah, that's what happened though. It was just a different kind of dog we never seen, kind of deal, like a wild dog.
Now the forest is full of mysteries. Have you ever come across a stairwell in the middle of the forest?
I've heard of these of these wells that lead into earth and stuff like that. I've heard a lot about these, or even sometimes on certain nights, the month like the solar summer solstice, the sun will open a portal into the earth sometimes, or like some of these like circles that look like they're in rock circles, some of those will like actually become stairways from the portals into the earth and stuff, and or like or rock formations will open, things like that. And yeah, no, there's these kind of like things out there that exist, and I've seen markings of like trees that were stacked, and different little things like over time that just were kind of a little odd, and you know, like I said, just from like other, you know, beings, or maybe even the Bigfoot as well, right? And but yeah, like out in the forest, there's a lot of tree peekers, we call them too. There's another being out there called tree peekers, and they're just kind of like, they almost look like little bark creatures, but they're like they're real fast, and they just like go into the tree and they peek around, they watch people in the forest, and yeah, you'll hear them scurrying around, and yeah, those ones are like actual forest beings, like they'll just become part of a tree or just move into another tree. Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, are these the forest dwellers or creatures that are, you know, stealing people?
It's possible that some of these people actually enter their dimensions or realms that they open up to them. There's tales of our ancient warriors that say like a grass spirit that was able to open up a dimension, and this guy was able to become a shapeshifter, and he was able to turn into any animal after that. And they say some of these beings, like these plant spirits, they carry great war medicine. That's the term that it was used in back then. But these beings were able to somehow like connect these individuals to higher, greater vibrations that were just unlocking these dimensional gifts, I should say. And some of these people were able to control lightning. Some of these people were able to turn into animals. There's one instance where Tasako down south was being chased by the Royal Mounties into the cave, and they chased him in. There was no way out. They had it all blocked off, but all that came out was a deer. And this is actually written down in Canadian history and Royal Mountie history. And but that guy was a well-renowned shapeshifter, and he was able to turn into any animal. And yeah, that's you know, some of these things out there in the forest are just beings that we'd never encountered, you know, and they do exist.
What are some of the beings that we may not know about that you have hunted on down?
Hunted on down. In terms of like like the buffalo man eater spirit and the goat man and these other kind of cryptids that are out there. There's one that's in the lake, and it's almost like a creature that can walk on land too, like a big giant. I want to say it resembles almost like a, what do you call those giant Komodo dragons, and it can swim in the water, and it can be a serpent, and it comes out of the water, it knocks down trees and leaves these like clear lines and clear cut lines, and that was like, that thing still, like, is pretty interesting out there, and people still say they see it out in the waters and of our lake, and it dives deep. They say there's a cavern system that connects to a deeper lake underneath our water, like a giant ocean, or sorry, underneath our land, like a giant ocean that this like cavern connects to, like a fresh water and everything. Like it's just like I said, this being, this like I said, cryptid swims around and it eats people in the lake. Every now and then people go missing. They'll find a foot or an arm. And like I said, this place is only known to have like kind of like a large jackfish and pikes kind of deal, like the walleye. Sorry, pikes and walleye. And you know what I mean? Like there's no other kind of fish. Like the whitefish are kind of rare. But like I said, these people just mysteriously go missing. Like there's almost like a person every like 10 years or so that goes missing in that lake, or gets swallowed up, I should say.
Oh, goodness. Let's get some audience questions here. And let's go to Donna Spencer to kick things off. Do the witches live inside of a mountain?
The one that I encountered, no. This one was I don't know where she was, to be honest with you. I can't tell you where she was, but she definitely was projecting, like in a sense, like astral projecting. So that's why, like I said, I had to clear her out of there and get her out of there through a portal and kind of send her back in a sense. But she was projecting, and it was met on that kind of battle world, in that battle spiritual plane. But yeah, no, but the witches, they are out there, like, so.
All right, let's move on to Midwest Night Watchers. Can you fight off anything with chants or spiritual weapons?
Yeah, sometimes the chants are called in to bring different elemental spirits that need to be brought in, like fire thunderbirds and you name it, like thunder beings, all sorts of elemental, like the ground, the fires, you name it. Spiritual weapons, yes. Like I said, they're usually blessed in ceremony. Depends on the person, right? Like sometimes a person might just use a stone, you know what I mean? And or it all depends. It's sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's a willow branch with some water on it, blessed water, and you know what I mean? They're splashing, hitting these things to burn them.
Wow. All right, let's continue on. Let's go to YJ here. Hey, Travis, where was that goat man? I know there is one in British Columbia.
The goat man's out in our northern area. It's been spotted all over, from as far as Fort McMurray down to Edmonton. Like it's been, but like I said, the most recent ones, like I said, in our area up here in the north, kind of near our lake area. So, but yeah, like it does travel around, and it is known to be like a, going after people that are like picking up hitchhikers, or it's like at parties, or it's chasing people down that are alone in the wilderness, so it all depends, really. But it is out.
Have you ever been face to face with one of these?
Men. Other than the stories and stuff I hear, but no, I haven't seen the goat man in its personal appearance, but I've encountered the people that have dealt with it or seen it, and like I said, they're pretty sure about it, like wanting to be like attaching to people or killing them or taking their souls or something like that. And like I said, I've too many accounts out here to not deny it.
All right, let's move on. And Donna is asking, again, we got a couple questions from her. Will the spirits, be opening up portals in your bedroom?
Sometimes even like, it's all a sense of keeping your energy zone safe, keeping a clear watch. feeling the essence of the room around you, and creating those safe energy fields around you, and you shouldn't have a problem if you become aware of it. But other than that, like I said, it's all a matter of somebody detecting it or sensing it themselves, or getting somebody to investigate it.
All right, let's move to Donna again. Give her the hat trick here. Will the little people try to wake you up when you are asleep to help you?
Yeah. They will. They'll. Yeah, like when I seen them, they woke me up that time. So yeah, that's definite yes.
All right, Doug Shelby, the Doug Shelby, is asking, hey, Travis, from good to bad, how do you characterize Sasquatch among the other cryptids?
Good. They're considered like a very, very big helper on the dimensional plane, spiritual plane. If you connect with them, or they have a connection to you, or how deeply you're connected to the woods and stuff, and there will eventually be this encounter or connection to them. And like I said, they're very good. Like I said, if you connect with them to help you out in your spiritual planes and like I said, ceremonies, and they are there for. So I consider them like a good kind of omen in a sense, or a being.
All right, let's continue on here. And let's go to Shiro, who is asking, do all rocks have a spirit? Please tell us more about rock spirits.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, the rock spirits are very ancient. One of the oldest grandfather spirits in all of our beliefs, and that also too is part of our, like, the earth spirit, the rock spirits that they'd give us a form, right? So like I said, we're made from the earth and the elements, and the earth said it would give us the form. So we have so much connection to the earth, and that's one of the older stories. Like when the moon woman was met by the moon man, he brought her up to the world in the moon, and they had a child. And they had two children. She bare two children, one boy, and the other was a stone. And the other stone killed her when she gave birth to the stone part. She died from it, and the little boy grew up alone, and he ended up growing up and finding out, like, taking a bunch of spiritual journeys. And that little boy was the one who went off to fight the Witagu, and yeah, he was with Sasquatch, and he ended up wanting to seek revenge when he heard that his mother was killed by this rock that she gave birth to. So he wanted to seek revenge against the rock spirit. So he went across the land, and he came across some wolves, and he was asking them, do you see this rock spirit rolling around here? I'm looking for him. They're like, why are you looking for him? They're like, he's like, well, I'm looking for him for revenge. He was the reason why my mother died. And so they're like, well, you can hunt among us. So Sasquatch was hunting among the wolves, and he was given a wolf partner to hunt among with this black wolf. So they went across the lands, and they hunted for many, like 10 years or so. And then later on, it was revealed that that wolf, the black wolf, was actually the rock, a shapeshifter. And he's like, the man you're looking for, the rock spirit, is me. And he transformed into the rock. And Sasquatch at that moment was shocked, but he let go of his revenge, because they had grown such a bond from hunting over the summers. And he let go of his revenge. And they became brothers, and very powerful brothers to this day, like in the spirit world. So these rock spirits they're all around us. Every rock you hold, when you hold it and you sit there in your meditation and you get a vision, I guarantee you pick up a different crystal rock, and you'll get another vision, and that's the way the rocks speak to you, in a sense.
Awesome. So, Travis, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have him for another 30 minutes. Travis Willier, moostoos. The legends, the stories continue from this paranormal hunter. I'm loving this. Absolutely loving this. Very much appreciate it. And all you tuning on in, what a blessing for all of us here at Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
Excellent. I'm going to step outside again. I'm enjoying this too.
All right. Gina Ryan Bearfighter, Travis Willier Moostoos, is a member of the Cree Nation in Alberta, here next to British Columbia. So that's where he is from. Hi, Lunar Tina. How are you? Yeah, I'm going to try and get him to Vegas. Definitely. His name is on the screen. I'm sorry, Donnie Cho. I'm sorry. Dirty back? Oh. Well, he's somewhere there.
You know, one of these days, Dave, I'll find where the mute button is on my actual microphone thing.
I was wondering where you were hiding. You scared me there.
I'm plugging away my Twitter thing and whatnot. Hey, Dave, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, great. Muted.
Hi, Looney.
I'm not repeating
this
myself.
Look at this comment by Donnie Cho. Dave Scott with a haircut is like looking at Mona Lisa with a cold sore. Holy cow. That is from the rope. That's an elbow right to the solar plexus.
That's a steel chair, Dave.
Oh, yeah. I actually appreciate that one. I can appreciate that one, Donnie. Love it. Love it. And hello, Thurston Howell III. All right.
So I drew Sasquatch gifting site with a pumpkin and a flower and a little
Very
tiny
nice.
gem.
Well, look
Is
at
that a
the
cat?
That's a kitty.
A cat?
Yeah, it is.
Let's see the cat.
Where are my cats? Unbelievable. Kitty.
All right. Before Dirty Filth has a catgasm, we're going to mute him. Thank you to Cat Chaser, Eddie, Robin, Lara, and Tracy and Trisha for the super chats. Here we go, everyone. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott, and we got a great show about legends and folklore going on right now for all of you. But first, I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with our good friend Travis Willier, moostoos, who is coming to us from the Cree Nation up in northern Alberta, and he's talking about all the monsters that he has come in contact with. So let's go straight to Donna here, who is asking, have you ever seen a white Bigfoot come out of a portal and mind speak to you?
Not so much like mind speak, and but yes, they do come out of portals, and they do enter them. And a lot of times too, it's said too when they open these portals that the medicines around will glow, and you actually see these like little glowing ambers in the tree where the funguses are and stuff. That's like part of their connection to them.
Wow. Okay, let's go to Midwest here, who is asking, have you experienced trees whispering or protecting you of danger?
That, and also guiding during hunts. During hunts, sometimes they'll guide us to where the moose are hiding and stuff. So there is deep connections to that, and also to respect. Sometimes if you don't pay respects to the trees before the hunt, they'll actually guide the moose and stuff away with their aromas, and yeah, it's very alive. It's very alive.
Okay, there's a number of people in this field who have talked about seeing moving trees or missing trees. Have you ever encountered this where trees, like giant trees, I'm not talking little ones, we're talking, maybe 50, 60, 80, 100 feet tall. One moment they are there and the next minute they are gone?
Yeah. Areas like big trees in the Swan Hills, they'll uproot and they'll move when they want to. And these beings are very ancient and very old, and they carry a lot of wisdom with them, especially if people connect with them. They do tell stories, and that is very much a case over here.
How does that happen?
Oh, it's like somebody will come across an area that has just a big uprooted tree, and there's no tree fallen. You know what I mean? And they're like, there's something here, or maybe a Bigfoot pulled it out or something. There's all the stories that go around that. And but my uncle would say that they did exist, and they do roam the forests like that, and they plant themselves in certain areas where there's not so much toxicity, and forests just thrive with them.
Wow. Okay. Now, you brought up whistling earlier, or the topic of whistling earlier, and we had someone on recently earlier, and they were talking about the dangers of whistling, the dangers of actually being in the forest. And if you get whistled to, never, ever respond to it. Have you come in contact with creatures that whistle and the reason why they do?
Yeah. And sometimes even trickster spirits will make bells and things go off. Say if people are carrying them on investigations, you'll hear the bells and stuff going off before you have the encounter or things go down. So yeah, there's a lot of that actually going on. And yeah, so the whistles though are sometimes screams, and yeah, are like just abnormal, like you hear stepping or stomping in the woods like that, you know, like it's like it gets intense out there sometimes.
Okay, so what would be the reason for the whistling?
The
And
whistling
we're not talking birds here either.
is to get you going. This is this is almost like a territorial thing, like a whistling to kind of, sometimes it's to draw your attention, you know, sometimes like it depends on how it hits the person frequency wise. And a lot of times like don't go to it, you know, some people are still drawn to it, and this is part of that. And like sometimes there's been stories like where people have worn almost like furs over their ears just to protect them, like in part of the headdress to protect them from those whistles and or the screams of the Witigu, because like if you hear that, you're frozen in stillness and they walk right up to you and pretty much rip your head off and, you know, devour you.
Wow. And you put yourself in that danger. Son of a gun. I'm coming with you. I got to come with you. I have to. All right, let's get to another question here. This one from Big J. Do you have any stories about moving shadows in the forest?
All the time. All the time. My buddy says that he's seeing them, and you know, I've been out there and we've actually caught some of these things, like going back and forth in the woods and stuff, and you know, but we never like, we go check them out and we never find anything, right? But or there won't be anything there, you know what I mean? Or, you know, but just like these things people do encounter that or hear that, and or even people on the road. There'll be people they'll see on the road, and then when they get close, nothing, you know, there's like, you know, so there's a lot of that. The people who are walking lost, maybe spirits, you know.
Okay, so with the fact that the shadow people are kind of running around the forest, what is their purpose of being in the forest?
A lot of energy, a lot of connection. People find themselves out there, and it's a whole nother dimension that they, you know, they're walking on that spiritual plane. Whether it's a part of their journey or they're lost in that journey, got lost along the way, is a whole nother case in itself. A lot of times too, there's a lot of underground water or rivers that we are unaware of that run under the forests, and this creates a lot of different traffic ways for these energy beings to maneuver or roam with or follow, or, you know, they're attracted to that energy, that constant moving of it.
Right.
Or there's sometimes there's spiritual grounds and people are still at those places.
Right. All right, let's continue on here with audience questions. Love V Love is asking, how old were you when you first were told of these entities from your elders?
I was like 5 years old. Like I was like, I was one of the carriers. I was a doorkeeper for one of our pipe carriers sweat lodges. So I was like very young age. I was carrying rocks in the sweat lodge and hearing these tales. And like I said, my two uncles are both practitioners, medicine men, renowned medicine men in this area. And like I said, they pretty much helped me understand these things and these ways of life. And that's pretty much like where I've been continuing a lot of my journey from, and discovering new acquaintances. A lot of new acquaintances have come into my life, especially spiritually gifted people, and with all these you know, amazing tales and stuff. So I've been really connected and blessed to be connected with all these people and speak on this radio too. I'm very happy to be here and make this connection with you, Dave. And yeah, but yeah, I was like very young age.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Why do I always say midnight? Midwest Night Watchers is asking, Travis, have you ever experienced shadow warriors or shadow watchers? For our audience, tell us the difference between the two.
All right. Yeah, the shadow watchers or shadow beings, it all depends on what how you go about it. So when you're in your, say you're trying to sense it, you're trying to use your mind to sense this area or your sensory field, you can decipher whether or not it's of a earthly presence, like maybe a relative, or sometimes you can tell if it's a different, in a different darker energy. And it usually, and this is easy. Humans get it right away, and well, us humans, like we receptors, right? We're antennas for this spiritual world, and yeah, like I said, it's all deciphering of those different entities and dealing with them in such ways, like burning of mountain sages, or just self prayers and whatnot.
Have any wild animals or these creatures ran in to protect you during, say, an encounter?
Yeah. There was one time there was a spirit entity that was a huge giant snake serpent, and it was a darker entity, and we were outmatched. We were doing our prayers and everything, and this giant thunderbird rolled in and just rolled with it. And this is on a spiritual battle plane, but thank God it did, and we were saved from such a, well, thank the Thunderbird spirit, right, coming down and saving us, and creation having pity on us for saving us that day. And yeah, but these things, they do come down and protect us sometimes, and or like I said, the elementals will be carried in with the like I said, the investigation, or like I said, these things come along. Like sometimes there's a pail with moss in it and sage burning, or some medicine burning on the top, that's like clearing and cleansing all the whole households and stuff, you know what I mean? And yeah, but sometimes these elementals, they do come in and save us and protect us and help us out. And yeah.
All right, let's continue on with some audience questions here. Let's go to Big J. Any forest nymph spottings? Or have you ever heard of any forest nymph encounters?
One time my cousin was on a vision quest, and this one nymph tried with a birch bucket, tried to come and offer him water, and he knew that wasn't a good one, eh? Like not a good spirit. So no, and he stood strong in his fast, and yeah, that spirit left, right? It was the bad one. It wasn't one trying to come and give him a vision or anything, but it was like a test, you know what I mean? So we were all tested in different ways, and yeah, but there's been that. So like, yeah, or you hear singing sometimes, and yeah.
Well, I can just imagine. I have only ever seen one wood nymph, and my son and I were geocaching, and we were walking a trail that's only a couple miles from my house, and we were walking one of the walking trails along the lake, and the lake is probably 50 feet below and we're above on this knoll on this embankment, and from the water side, this little nymph, it looked like a rotted out 2x4, maybe 18 inches tall, comes strutting out right onto the path in front of us by about 20 feet, stops, looks at us, and then takes off back down the hill.
Yeah.
Both my son and I saw him, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's always great when it's like a group encounter too. Like it's always like then you have 3 or 4 people that encountered. My uncle, there was this one time the whole town had an encounter of Juicard, and this is when the mission was being burnt down, the old residential school in our area, and the whole town was gathered, and they're throwing torches in this building and burning it down. And then there was a young girl. She was just lifted up by her hair, little native girl, and she's just tossed left and right, and like 10 feet, just being tossed left and right. And there was nothing the whole town could do. They just had to watch, and they chose never to speak about it after that. But this is like when my uncle started beginning his like investigations into the paranormal, and that's when he knew, like, oh, this is a real world. Like we gotta start learning about this, and dealing with this. But yeah, that's like that happened in front of the whole town and whatnot. And yeah, talk about a ghostly encounter, right?
Very true. Very true. Pixie Lara would like to know, do you have medicine women as well?
Yep. Yeah. Medicine women, yes. there's a lot of that. Pipe holders, some pipe holders are medicine women as well too, and like I said, there's that deep connection too with the medicines, and the women have their own lodges. So it would be to approach them with the broadcloth and tobacco to ask them. Usually light colors of yellow, red, blue, and white or green would do, and an offering for that kind of those teachings and those knowledge. But yeah, they have their own lodges because they have their own story, their own path, their own walk, and that's I'll leave that to them.
Very cool. Let's continue on. Don wants to know, what about entities turning invisible? It was not my relative. No human has calves that big, but Bigfoots do.
Yeah. Invisible entities. Yes. There's a lot of that. Dimensionals, especially like during our ceremonies and ancient days, a lot of dimensionals come through, or they'll come sit in the lodge sometimes. Like we'll have like I said, just different beings. Sometimes they look like insects. Sometimes they like I said, sometimes they're star beings, and they'll come through different dimensional paths, and they'll come there with blessings of different sort of like people will get visions of geometric patterns and all sorts of weird kind of art, or they'll get like blessings of healing and all sorts of things. But yeah, there's a case where one dude was seeing the being right there, and then it just went invisible, and he was blown away by it, and he thought he was losing it in the woods, because it was in the woods when he seen it, and like he didn't know what to think, right? So he just like he didn't really tell anybody that, but kind of freaked him out about going in the woods after that.
Yeah, how could you not blame him?
Yeah, there's even been cases where people were out hunting moose, and when they shot him, they screamed like a human, and it freaked them the hell out. And they're like, "Whoa! Like, did I just shoot a human?" You know what I mean? Because it felt like they did. And yeah, maybe that was a shapeshifter of some sort. And they, you know what I mean? They were freaked right out, and you know.
Blue Cruz would like to know if you've had any Glimmerman encounters.
Like the shiny suits, are Glimmermen, as in like celestial beings that just like are just light, and they're just like
both.
Yeah, no, a lot of the suits, a lot of the ETs wear, they shimmer like that. It's more or less their connection to the ships, from what they been telling us, and yeah, it's like it's all part of their living organism. Especially here on Earth, like it acts as like it could be bulletproof and all these different like things, and they've been known to bless some of our hides with the same kind of bulletproof proofing. Like back in the ancient days, there'd be people who would ride out and they'd have bulletproof furs on them. They literally get shot and bullets would just bounce off of them. And yeah, like these things are, yeah, the Glimmermen or the shiny suits, they'll say. The medicine man that was picked up on his fast actually said they wore little shiny suits, and they had the large almond eyes, and they were tall, a little taller, and yeah, those are the ones who were asking him to heal the people in Vancouver.
Well, let's go to Holly here, who is asking, have you ever encountered an entity that literally scrambled your mind to where you couldn't think?
Yeah, there was one time there was like a reptilian being, and he just kept talking. Like he kept telling this story like about underground bases and stuff, and he just wouldn't shut up. And but yeah, no, there's like one of those that just kind of, you're like, and then you start like looking at what he's saying, and you're like, and then you're like, oh god, what is this? But in that sense, you're kind of like, you're just kind of caught off guard, and when you start seeing some of the stuff that was bringing up was kind of on point. And then but yeah, that thing was around for a while, and then it was gone. You know what I mean? Like things like that, like in dreams, and just coming to visit and visitations and things like that. But it was like a brown reptilian. He had like a brown like kind of red yellow eyes. Yeah, it was brown yellow.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd react to that. That's for sure. Let's go to another one, as we are running out of time. Black Dragon, one of our favorite veterans, is asking, does Cree have stories of dragons?
Yes. There was a woman of the Northern Lights who lived with one in the mountains, and she grew to love this dragon a lot, and it was like one of those stories where she gave birth and raised this child in the tribe, and eventually she died, but then the being left to go live back with the dragon world kind of deal, and grew up in the tribe and knew he was different, and went back to live in the dragon world. And there's other stories too where there was like giant snakes. There was a giant snake, and the hunters hunted it. And when because they were hungry that summer, there was no food around. They ate the giant snake, and the young hunter who went to go get more hunters, when they returned, those hunters that ate the snake were all turned into snakes, and they ended up bringing them back and into the mountains, and they lived there. And yeah, it's like they still consider the snake medicine a big medicine out here, and like to honor the snakes. And yeah, it's like a little thing like that, story like that, right, where they're.
Well, let's go back to Holly. We got 3 minutes to go with you. Yeah. Have you ever encountered something that locked eyes with you so you can't look away or move? Literally mind scramble you so you can't think or call on Jesus?
Oh, like kind of like
something
like that. Yeah. No, I'm like, when I've encountered these beings, it's been kind of like on some sort of level like that anyway. But yeah, like, you always got to keep your mind protected and stuff like that. But they do try to. There's been a couple times where it's been a tricky one. But yeah, usually just got to use your protection, keep your mind protected with that.
All right, let's continue on here, as we got one more question for you. I think we can sneak it on in. Paranormal Pixie Lara is asking, I wonder if she still has pink or purple hair. I want to know that. Can you tell us more about the Cree connection to the star beings?
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of tales about the Cree Nation and the stars, even the animals too, and how the animals tried to steal the moon. And there was one story about how the wolves and the coyotes tried to trick the moon beings on the moon to steal the moon, and they weren't successful. And a lot of them were murdered or taken out, killed, and that's why the wolves still hollow out to the moon. They still hollow. All right, yeah, yeah, hollowing out. Sorry, and yeah, that's one of those tales there, and. Yeah, our people, like I said, always had these connections and visitations for over thousands of years that we've been able to connect with that. And like I said, our origins of the sky people and the people of the constellations, we knew all, through ceremonies. We have names for the planets and all the constellations, but we more or less look at them like the Orion's belt was Manitou, the great hunter, and he was fighting the great bull, the man-eater bulls. That's why you look at Taurus and Sagittarius right next, and Taurus is right there as the bull. And we have a few other ones there too, like the bear as the big dip. That's another one. The woman, and one star woman, she fell in love with the bear, and the bear was showing her, because she lost all her medicine in the water, right? And showing her how to live amongst the trees, and showed her all these things, and they ended up being welcomed up into the sky world, and the bear was marked out in the north as a Big Dipper, and we still call ourselves the Bear Clan too as well.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Quickly, 20 seconds or less. Blue Cruise wants to know, have you ever had any time traveler encounters?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Some beings, they'll come through and they give visions out. Like I said, I've had visions of Atlantis through this kind of connection. I've seen beings in Atlantis, like how it looked. It freaked me out when I first seen it.
Well, I'm gonna get you to hold on right there, because we are gonna go to break here at the top of the hour. Travis Willier moostoos does it again, rocking us with some spooky encounters. Speaking of spooky, we have Swamp Dweller kicking off hour 3 next on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to quickly step away here, but I'll let you finish the time traveler story with our audience and go for it.
All right, excellent. Yeah, so I was given these visions of Atlantis, and the massive pyramid in the middle of like the city was huge. Like it freaked me out in the vision. Like I almost lost like connection because of how massive and just huge it was. There were subgiants there, there were giants, and there were like reptilian beings there. There were blue hair, like there were blue beings, like with blue, like they were blue, and like I said, they had a very esoteric lifestyle, and like mantids were there, and they were causing problems in this forbidden laboratory. They were like trying to reincarnate their queen or something like that, and reincarnation was just outlawed in Atlantis, and it caused a lot of problems between the two spiritual divisions, which caused the cataclysm of Atlantis. And a lot of our people had a lot of flying technology and advanced technologies, but because of that cataclysm, a lot of us were banned from that, happening. And we still see a lot of these traces of that technology in deep south, like in the Andes and other parts of the world where these ley lines and these areas are marked out for beings in the sky to see. But yeah, like I said, it was there was a cataclysm that happened there, and some natives were a part of that, and yeah, it was like a journey to learn and come back, and now we're here in this day, and everybody has a part to play in it, and I'm just so happy to be here to share a lot of these experiences and stories. But yeah, it's been quite a different one in terms of this coming around the second time, and talking more about my experiences in the woods and with these different cryptids, and also sharing of the tales, ancient legends. And so happy that everybody came back to check it out. And listeners to the future, thank you for listening and making it this far. We all appreciate you. And yeah, I'm just thankful for all the ancestors that were here with me today, and also for everyone here on this earth, and all the legends that spoke on this show and in the past, and that are going to be on the future. I'm so thankful to be a part of it all. And yeah, it's just been great. Many blessings, and I usually Hisagatan Kisagawa Tawimao. Hi. I said, I love you, my creator. Thank you. And yeah, you guys all have a blessed night out there. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. So I hope that answered all your questions. And there's plenty more to share. So yeah, it's a little different without anybody asking me any questions. So I just kind of sitting here. Oh, there's one story. So my uncle and this guy recently passed away. His name was Big Eric. They were out hunting by this lake, and well, our lake, the nearby lake, and they're off the coastline or off the shoreline a little bit, but they're more in the woods because they knew if the tide or water would run up. So they're in the woods, and it was a clear night, and all of a sudden this water just fell on them, like big tub of water, pool just dropped down, and they're just woken up, shook. They got pounded hard by this water, and went right through their tents and everything. And they both got up and they're like, "Hey, what the fuck? Well, sorry, but hey, who's playing this trick on us? What's going on?" They were mad. That's why I swore. But so they chased them. Hello, who's out there? They went running in the woods. They looking for these guys, and they couldn't find them. They looked for real long, and then the day started coming up, and they realized that only in their area was all water. Like the plants had water on it. So my uncle always said that there's probably ships in the lake that flew up out of the water and it carried that water just where they were off the water lake line there, and all that water fell down on them. That was what he said, and I believe him 100%, because the mysteries of that lake, like I said, the caverns and the deep ocean that supposedly exists underneath the land, and this is a massive ocean. And but yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, it's it's been a great one. Oh yeah, as for keeping yourself safe, smudge in the mornings in the daylight and the sunshine, and yeah, and you should be all right. Smudge your whole house, walk with it around the house, and let the smoke fill the room, and say your prayers and of light, and And yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. As for dreams and stuff, look for the deeper meaning. Write it down, or what you remember. Usually these things stick out for a reason. Whether it's warnings or whether it's guidance, it's for all of you. So you guys take care out there. Thank you for joining me again, once again.
Hey, Travis, thank you so much for being with us, buddy.
I forgot to mention, I have a music channel on YouTube called Planetary Wisdom. If you guys want to hear me sing some funny music about what I talk about and everything, that I make a lot of it. So you can check.
Perfect. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Take care, Dave. It was awesome, man.
Appreciate you a lot.
Yes. Take care. I hope the show goes great tonight, and you guys rock on, man.
Hey, we'll talk soon, okay?
Yep. See ya.
Take care. Travis Willier, moostoos, everyone. How awesome is he? He's fantastic. Thank you to Jacques Valet, Cat Chaser Eddie, Robin, Lara, Tracy, and Trisha for the super chats. Here we go, guys. We're about 10 seconds away from hour number 3. Here we go.
And SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Absurdism. Absurdism is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Hi, Swamp Dweller. My name is Alex, and I come from Cherokee ancestry. Ever since I was about 9 years old, my great-grandfather had told me many stories about the legendary Sasquatch on many occasions in Germansville, Pennsylvania. He would have me and my 2 brothers sit on a wooden bench he made from eastern hemlock trees in front of a bonfire. He was full Cherokee, and he would talk about how his grandfather shared these stories with him the same way with us. One of the stories he told us was that his grandfather had some connection with these creatures. All I could do was give him all my attention as I never looked away, staring into his big brown eyes. He talked about their nighttime rituals and how they'd get responses from the creatures. He said they would talk to them from a distance and understood every word. While my great-grandfather mentioned a few chanting words, I heard something coming from my right. Loud steps crushing the ground leaves. My great-grandfather said, "Don't mind that sound, son. This is what they do, so ignore it until it starts talking." I apologized quickly for turning my head towards the loud steps. He continued their story about their origins, and mentioned that they had been here long since the beginning of time, and they had traveled long ways from Alaska to Canada. Again, and he taught us some of the words from his native language. I noticed that the stepping sounds had stopped and it was not far from us. It sounded like it only stopped 20 feet into the woods, so I tried my hardest to ignore it as my great-grandfather continued his story. Suddenly, the creature starts to speak. I don't know what it was saying, but it sounded like unknown gibberish. I couldn't help but ask Grandpa if he knew what it was saying, and he said he didn't know. But that's what they do from time to communicate with each other. Before I knew it, I heard another one coming from the woods to my left, and it started speaking that same gibberish. I was frozen and scared at this point. I couldn't see anything, but knew how close they were to us. My brothers looked at me in fright and begged my grandpa to return to the house. Grandpa told us everything was fine and they would walk away. I couldn't see eye shine or anything like that. I couldn't even get a glimpse of them. But they finally did start walking deeper into the woods after some time. I hope I never have that same experience again in my lifetime. Thanks, Swamp Dweller, for sharing my story, and I hope anybody that hears this doesn't have to get this close to a Sasquatch.
Well, I accidentally played last night's story. Here's tonight's for you from Swamp Dweller. Double shot.
I'm a 17-year-old guy currently living in Phoenix, Arizona. This incident occurred 6 months ago on an overnight trip in the Superstition Mountains, about an hour's drive east of Phoenix. I'm not going to specify the exact trail because I've been doing this stuff long enough to realize what happens when you post things on the internet. Whether it's a golf course, an abandoned mine, ghost, or whatever it may be, people usually come flocking with a lot of trash and loud music. I took this trail, an 8-mile loop through a canyon, a simple in and out overnight trip. I planned to go with my friend, but the last-minute cancellation on his part left me on my own. So, with a packed bag and a car ready to go, I decided to go independently. Not leaving the house on time and having some trouble navigating through rough forest roads, I didn't arrive at the trailhead until around 5:45, which for those of you who don't backpack is a huge no-no. I had about a 4-mile hike until I arrived at my planned camping spot, and it was getting dark fast. So I figured if I moved quick enough, I could get at least 2 to 3 miles in before I had to find the spot. This strategy left me hiking a very dark trail on my own with about 15 miles of dirt road between me and anyone else. Walking in the dark by itself is scary, especially for where I was and being on my own. Eventually, it got so dark that I could only see where my headlamp was pointing, and that's when I figured I needed to stop and set up a camp. Only using the headlamp as a light source, I tried to move as fast and as quickly as I could. I ended up in a less than ideal spot, but there were some burnt pieces of wood and the remains of a fire circle. Hence, it did look like people at one point camped here, but not anytime recently from my estimations. My priority was to get the fire going. I scanned the area around me and found some dry wood, and I got the fire going relatively easily. I got my tarp set up and cracked open a can of chili mac I had brought and was looking forward to eating. I felt good. My camp was set up and my food was on fire. The uneasiness from the hike had almost gone away, and the concern from the walk in had virtually gone away. But it was still there in the back of my head, which I think is just a side effect from camping alone in remote areas. To fully understand what happened, I have to explain how my camp was set up. The site I had picked was a small clearing surrounded by large pine trees with a trail about 30 feet to my left. When you are in the woods and you have a fire going, the fire casts a circle of light around it, and everything on the edge of that circle and past it is essentially pitch black. I was sitting on the ground near my fire eating dinner when a small rock about the size of a marble was thrown into my camp. I look at the tiny rock in shock as I was positive that I was the only person on this trail that night. I immediately turned my light on and towards the area where I had seen the rock come from. But due to the density of the pines and brush, I could only see about 10 feet ahead of me. I spent the next 15 minutes in disbelief as I scanned the tree line that surrounded me, searching for whatever or whoever had thrown that rock, not daring to stray away from the fire that, in hindsight, offered me a false sense of security. After sitting down and spending the rest of my time on high alert, I convinced myself that I had somehow kicked the rock or had fallen from a tree. I went to sleep that night not expecting the pure terror that would unfold. I awoke to the sound of rustling leaves, barely inaudible if you weren't listening for them, but they were there. Still in a sleepy daze, I heard the rustling of those leaves, harder to hear as I assumed they were moving away from me. I went to grab the handheld flashlight I left next to me when I fell asleep, but the more I looked, The more scared I got as I realized it was no longer there. I stood up in my sleeping bag, ducked out of my tarp, and looked around. I could see the light off in the woods. It could not have been more than 15 feet away. It was my flashlight lying on the ground in a pile of leaves. This is one of the few moments in my life where I have almost crapped myself right then and there. The flashlight I had left sitting right next to me when I fell asleep a few hours ago was now 15 feet away from me past the tree line in the woods. I hurriedly slipped on my boots, clutching my knife the entire time in my other hand and keeping my head on a swivel. I weighed my options, staying here and waiting the night out, or attempting the 3-mile hike back to the car in the pitch dark. I figured that whatever or whoever was out here with me was going to have a better advantage on sneaking up on me if I was out on the trail without a light. So I decided to stay at the camp and wait it out. Eventually it came back and I could hear it walking through the woods. It was far off, but I could listen to it just barely. It sounded like someone leisurely walking by, like they were on a stroll without a care. Sometimes it would wander too far away and I would lose the sound of its steps. But then an hour later, maybe 2, it would return, still faint as ever. This continued for 3 or 4 hours until I listened to the steps getting closer and closer until they finally were about 5 to 10 feet from me. The fire had been tiny as I had run out of wood in my stockpile. Finally, the footsteps stopped and everything went silent. I sat there for 2 hours, clutching a knife in my hand and praying for 2 hours, taking the knife in my hand and praying that I couldn't hear anything else. I stayed like that until the sun illuminated me to see that I was alone at my campsite. I packed my things up immediately and sped walk out of there. I don't think I have ever taken down a 3-mile hike that fast in my life. Finally, I arrived at the empty dirt road where my car was parked and nearly sprinted to it as I unlocked my Subaru, jumped in and drove. I didn't stop until I had put at least 20 miles between me and that place. I stopped at a gas station in Apache Junction to buy a Red Bull, but mostly to see and talk to another person. As I exited the store, I read what was written in the dust on the back of my window. Sleep well? Many weird things have happened to me on my various adventures through Arizona, but this is the most mysterious and, quite frankly, scariest, so I thought I'd share it. There is a seriously deranged person living in the Superstition Mountain. Do yourself a favor and stay as far away from those mountains as possible.
Right near Apache Junction were 2 of our radio stations that carry us. We'll give a shout out to Len Novin at the Rattler, and we love Len down there. Len's a gymaholic too. You should see him. He's got like the 24-inch pythons, and he says his prayers and eats his vitamins all the time. Yeah, he's just a good guy for playing us on the Rattler. So appreciate all our listeners down in Apache Junction. Thank you for tuning us on in. Hey, it is that time of the night where our resident Timbit, little Timmy Senor, he's back for the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
What up, my good friend? It's good to have you back. How you been?
Hey, Dave. It's good to see you. Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
And I already know you're going to get me really mad tonight. Really, really mad. I know what's going on. In one of my private chat groups that I'm in with a bunch of scientists, journalists, and other people involved, we're talking about this. And I am just ripping everybody who supports this whole NASA movement. And
understandable.
I'm going to sound like a broken record tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. Because NASA today, with all of their glory and flag waving, has announced their UAP study team members. Fill us in, Tim, because I'm about to explode.
Absolutely. And so before I report on that, I must update you too. I did get to see your film last night, produced and directed by Darcy Weir, Secret Space UFOs, NASA's First Mission. And so, do I understand why you feel the way you do about NASA? I absolutely do. That's a very revealing program and stellar work with the Velvet Voice, my friend. Absolutely stellar. Just fantastic. And we should all run out and go see it, if nothing more than to get a little extra Dave offline. So much fun.
Appreciate the plug, man.
Hey,
Appreciate that.
really great work. Really great work. And so NASA announces unidentified aerial phenomena study team members today. And so NASA has selected 16 individuals to participate in its independent study team on unidentified aerial phenomena. And observations of events in the sky cannot be identified as aircraft or known natural phenomenon are categorized as UAPs. And so this independent study will begin on Monday, October 24th, which is coming up very soon. And over the course of the next 9 months, the independent study team will lay the groundwork for future study on the nature of UAPs for NASA and other organizations. To do this, the team will identify how to data gather and to use civilian government entities, commercial data, and data from other sources. And so this can potentially be analyzed to shed light on UAPs, and it will potentially also recommend a roadmap for future data analysis the agency is going to get in the future. And so the study will focus solely on unclassified data, and a full report containing the team's findings will be released to the public in mid-2023. And so just to pause here for a moment, let's just kind of underline this from, this is not NASA protocol that we've seen before. Dave, I already know that you're going to be skeptical. Do you think we're going to get the blacked out report, the censored photographs, and more of what we've seen from the past and demonstrated in your recent film? In fact, about NASA censorship, I will go into a little more here, but briefly just touch bases with how you feel this quote unquote a full report containing the team's findings.
I think it's going to be crap.
Look.
I think it's going to be crap. I'm just going to say it right off the bat. All right. And Tim, before I get deep into this, because this one subject could take us for the rest of the show. I'm going to try not to, but it could take us for the rest of the show. You saw the latest documentary that I was just in. You just brought it up, courtesy of Darcy Weir. It focuses on NASA and their pilots and astronauts who have reported claims of seeing unidentified objects while in space. All right. I want you to explain first in detail. Okay. It doesn't look, my little part in it doesn't matter. I'm just a voiceover guy in that. Okay. So it doesn't matter about me. I'm saying information wise. Okay. You watch that documentary, like you said, and you can now see why I am very upset about this. Very upset. I want you to explain why to our audience who has not watched this documentary yet.
Yeah, the film very clearly demonstrates how hundreds of images have been doctored to censor out questionable artifacts in their imagery. They took firsthand accounts of all of the astronauts that tried to convey what was happening around them as it was happening, and wouldn't offer any advice to potentially scared astronauts that there were out there exploring the edges of outer space. And along with that, when the astronauts came back to the Earth, it was very clear that there was a protocol of how things would be censored, and that astronauts would never talk about quote unquote fireflies, as John Glenn did in public. And that was the sort of thing that would get you very quickly to lose your wings. And so that was something that astronauts avoided. And so it's a very clear process that was obviously gone through with this organization to censor absolutely everything.
How did you feel when you heard the cockpit voice of the X-15 pilot flying at 314,000 feet, explaining what he is looking at in the sky beside him?
I found it incredible, and I felt like I was up there with him, and the absolute silence coming from back at Houston when he was asking for a response. Maybe they were out of radio signal, or maybe they were just leaving him hanging, hoping he would turn his attention back to his protocol. But their silence put a shake in his voice, and you could tell that he said things like, "I hope you can hear me," and things like that. That's not usually what an astronaut would say if he felt confident about what his surroundings were. And so I felt that just leaving that astronaut hanging was pretty hard to listen to.
So the documentary is this: Secret Space UFOs, NASA's first missions, our first astronauts saw UFOs. This is what you need to do. If you want to know how much NASA is lying to you about unidentified aerial phenomena, check out this film, this documentary by Darcy Weir. It can be found right now on Amazon Prime, Hulu, Apple, Google Play, Apple TV, and many more places. And I'm telling you, it's worth the $4 to rent it. $4 measly, and you will understand why I am extremely upset that NASA is lying to the public about UFOs, and why each and every one of you out there should be just as offended. Look, I'm not a cancel culture kind of guy, all right? I'm not what they call woke. But the one thing that I do believe in is calling out BS when you see it. Everybody who listens to this show should be challenging your news outlets, the major news outlets, your newspapers, your radio stations, okay? Hammer your own opinion against NASA and Bill Nelson. Both are on Twitter. And hammer them about telling the truth. Okay? This whole thing with hiring 16 people who are going to get a free paycheck of probably 10 grand a piece, maybe 5 to 10 grand a piece, maybe more, 100 grand a piece, maybe more. Okay? They are going to get paid to talk about all of this shocking evidence that they are going to find. But guess what? They'll talk about the Navy. They'll talk about the Air Force. They won't talk about their astronauts. I will call that shot right now, Tim. I will call that shot right now. They will not talk about their astronauts when it comes down to it. They won't. And if you're an American citizen, like 75% of our audience is, get your asses on Twitter and on other social media and call out NASA for what they are, a bunch of liars. I hate calling anybody a liar, okay? But there is more than ample proof that NASA is lying to the public about what they know, okay? Legendary Jim Goodall, who is in our room right now, our chat room right now, he has written some of the most incredible aviation history books. He knows SR-71s and A-12s like the back of his hand. And he knows SR-71 pilots who encountered UFOs. But they're not allowed to say a thing. Look, I'm not all for protests, but until NASA gets called out, ufology is a bloody joke. We'll continue with the UFO report. Tim Senor is with us tonight. We'll be right back. God, this pisses me off. It just angers me.
You understand why I had to follow up, though, right?
Well, you have to. It's news. We have to do it. Okay? It's
All right.
news. We have to.
Yeah, I do have tons of questions for you, by the way. And we'll do it when we come back because, yeah, I prepared them for you. I think you're going to appreciate it. So, how was it doing that voiceover? You did such a great job, bud. Did you just do it in your studio here?
Yeah, I did in the studio here.
Very cool. That's nice.
It's real easy. I mean, dude, all you're doing is
Reading a script, but not,
reading.
I mean,
You have
you-
to know how to read the
you
script.
make it look easy. I mean, it's not easy. I was talking to Terry Hall about this because he's another guy that's got a velvet voice for VO like that. He's a voiceover guy. So, but yeah, it's not simple. You just make it
You
look
just have
easy.
to know. The hardest part is knowing how the director wants you to read it. Like I had one director for one voiceover, and I think he ended up firing me without even telling me. But he told me he loved my voice, but he didn't want me to use my voice. And so I had to be
Generic.
no, I don't even know because of this stupid cough I have that I'm going to get checked out on Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah, that's going around. Even I caught a little bit of
No,
it.
it's because I looked it up. Okay, not that I'm playing Google Doctor or anything, but I looked it up, and it's because I'm not. When you don't get enough oxygen to your lungs, you cough more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, because your lungs are searching for air, and because I can't breathe out of my nose right now, well, at least out of the left side, I'm struggling for
Right.
air. So,
Have you ever had your nose broken?
oh, dude, like 6-7 times.
Right.
But the real damage was done a number of years ago. So I'm going to go get it checked out Tuesday.
So yeah,
Hey, love v love. I never had Rona, so
so everybody, I can tell everyone that Dave is diligently keeping to his schedule. I phoned him and he didn't even break his workout. He picked up the phone, continued his workout, talking to me. We were talking business, kept it real, didn't miss a beat. He wasn't even out of breath, you guys.
and that's the funny part. When I'm on the treadmill or working out, I feel great. My lungs feel great.
Yeah, you sound great too, dude. Super proud of you, brother. It's awesome. It's awesome. So
Yes.
keep it up.
No, I don't smoke pot, people. Everybody thinks I smoke pot.
I can vouch for you. Yeah, you sure don't.
No.
You barely drink. You don't have vices, really, that I know
No.
of. I think this is your vice. Like,
Besides sitting at a bar in Vegas and paying for 90 minutes worth of back massage.
yeah, maybe. But you definitely aren't into the sins. I can say that. That's for sure.
Tragically Hip, second greatest Canadian band behind. I would say
Rush.
I would say that answer is yes, behind Rush. Tragically Hip were highly underrated though.
90s though, right? Pretty much.
2000s. They went right until Gord Downey passed away a couple years ago from brain cancer.
Mm. Are you stoked that Blink 182 is doing a world tour? I didn't really get a response.
No, dude, I actually want to see them. I'm a Blink 182 fan.
Yeah. Do you hope they have new stuff too, though?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't want to. I'm just not a Tom DeLonge UFO guy.
I can see
Okay,
that.
because I think he was absolute bullshitting his way through that entire thing. What if I told you?
Come on.
He put out the "What if I told you" tweet about Blink 182 getting back. I tweeted him back. I said, last time you said that, you yanked the tweet about UFOs. How do we believe this, Tom? Right, here we
Yeah,
go.
but he's a rock and roll.
Rounded third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. Tim Senor, the UFO report, continuing right now, and we're hot on the button of NASA making a fool out of itself once again by saying, we have named our 16 contestants to look for UFOs around NASA. Will they find anything? I don't know. Chuck, let us know. Tim, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling positive. I was glad to see NASA come as quick as they have with their list, and they're going to get right into the research. So hopefully by this time, or mid 2023, as they're saying, we'll have a report of some substance. Perhaps we can expect a little more than we got for our public hearings, right? And so again, the study will focus solely on unclassified data. So that's a pretty vague statement coming from NASA itself. And then a full report containing the team's findings, that is also, a little bit of a gray area. And then mid 2023 is also a bit of a gray area. So just in that statement of what we're to expect, there's a little wiggle room, and I can see that here. But moving forward, NASA has brought together some of the world's leading scientists, data and artificial intelligence practitioners, aerospace safety experts, all with a specific charge, which is to tell us how to apply the full focus of science and data to UAP. And so the findings will be released in this public conjunction with NASA's principles of transparency, openness, and scientific integrity. And, so I'll just say that one more time because I know it's grinding your gears. The findings will be released in a public conjunction with NASA's principles of transparency, openness, and scientific integrity. And so moving on, the members of NASA's independent study team on unidentified aerial phenomenon are David Spergel. And so I'm not going to name everybody necessarily in all their credentials, but there are a few members I feel that are kind of pertinent. And so Spergel was selected as the chair to NASA's independent study. And he is the president of Simons Foundation, where he was the founding director of its Flatrion Institute for computational astrophysics. And so his interests range from the search for planets and nearby stars to the shape of the universe. And so he is a MacArthur Genius Fellow, and Spergel has been cited in publications more than 100,000 times. So anyone that knows anything about this field, you probably know who David Spergel is. And so Anna Maria Berea is associate professor in George Mason. Federico Bianco, another professor, University of Delaware. Paolo Bontepi, who is a biological oceanographer. And so, as we know, the specific wordage of the new organization is to be searching into the ocean. And so Paolo Bontepi being a biological oceanographer, is obviously going to be integral in this process moving forward. Reggie Brothers is the operating partner at AE Industrial Partners in Boca Raton, and he will also be residing in the technology department. Jen Buss, coming from the Potomac Institute of Policy Studies in Arlington, Virginia. And we have some freelance journalists, Nadia Drake, Mike Gold, and a few other people that are also associated in getting some of this out in public as we go moving forward. Mike Golden, specifically Vice President of Civil Space and External Affairs for Redwire. And so moving forward, there are a few names in here that suddenly start to get a little bit interesting. Senior scientist at the Planetary Science Institute at Tucson, David Grinspoon, Scott Kelly, who is a former NASA astronaut and test pilot and fighter pilot and retired U.S. Navy captain. Exciting to have him on board because that's probably somebody that is in the know. And so we have astronomers, scientists, and it sounds like actual people that have been in space, astronauts on board this team. Hopefully, if we do get some transparency, these are the people that are going to be putting together how to even collate data and to move forward and how to look for it in the future. I know NASA has at least one massive bus mobile unit that is used kind of along the same terms as what I do, which is retrieving data all over the world. So your thoughts on some of the names and some of the process moving forward, if this mechanism was to work as professed here, would this be exciting for you?
No. No,
It's so hard to get you into
Tim,
it at all. And
Tim,
I understand you just feel like we're never going to get the truth. It'll always be censored no matter
Look,
what.
I'm going to read some comments here from Twitter. I'm going to answer this with this. Here's Adam Goldsack, who is a podcaster and a real rah, let's go team when it comes to UFO. He goes, "Thank you, NASA. We've been fighting for this moment since 2017, and many have been fighting for much longer. Congratulations, everyone." I responded this way. I said, "You're kidding, right? You know that NASA has known about this topic before anyone. Since Gemini, through Apollo, and the shuttle program, they've all been followed by UFOs. Supporting this study is supporting the cover-up narrative. Be pissed off for once." That's the answer we need.
Right.
To me, the names on that list may be impressive in their own doctrine. Okay? To me, it's like listening to Charlie Brown's teacher speak.
Right. So, okay, go ahead.
But for a second, because I don't want that to make it sound like it's an insult against you and your incredible work. Okay?
Yeah, no, I get it.
But this is the cover-up. This is part of the lie.
Mm-hmm.
And any of those, bringing in an astronaut to study this, whoop-de-doo. Why not talk to Buzz Aldrin? Let his NDA go. Edgar Mitchell admitted to seeing things. McDivitt saw things. Gordon Cooper saw things. John Glenn, like you mentioned, saw things. Almost every astronaut who was in those early programs saw things. Okay? Stop lying. Okay?
Yeah, and so we're gonna see some of those NDAs disappear potentially. I mean, I'm only trying to see some positive, but I have seen the holes in this program, and not only this documentary, but my eyes have been open my whole life. And obviously, there's no government program, there's no independent program, there's no military program that I have any faith in particular. That's the whole reason I'm doing my own research. I don't even believe the video I see online. I have to go and get my own. I have to see it myself. But that's me. My point is that is NASA bound by this demand coming from Congress? And obviously we can FOIA NASA because it's a public company, an independent company, supposedly not controlled by the military. And so if it's bound by the same demands as all of the other parties to this topic, then will it have to, by whatever generated law or bind they have, to show transparency with this result? Do you think this is part of it? Will we get anything out of this from NASA potentially? Is this part of this congressional demand? They're not.
No.
Okay.
NASA hasn't been called on the floor. NASA has never been called on the floor. This was Bill Nelson, the executive director, who all of a sudden one day stood up at the podium earlier this year and said, well, my fellow Americans, we got something going on with them UAPs. I've been watching these U.S. Navy videos and talking to the pilots about this. This is pretty incredible. And never once did he mention about his astronauts. Never once did he mention about what NASA knew. He put it all on the U.S. Navy, like he was absolutely shocked that UFOs were real. It's garbage. It's a setup. It reminds me of when everybody started confirming they were in the UFO game. And then this was 2 years ago, where everybody was confirming they were in the UFO game. And then out of the blue, the FBI comes out with a 43-year-old report, okay, about that they investigated a Sasquatch case, and 3 years later, they deemed it to be deer hair. Deer hair does not take 43 years. Okay? The gentleman who put in the request for analysis on the hair that he had, okay, that he had found, was in his 40s at the time. He's now 85. He maybe 86. He maybe passed away by now. Don't know. But it took the FBI 43 years to get back to him on deer hair. Do you really think it was deer hair?
Right.
Okay. After 43 years. But the timing, the more important part about it is the timing of it, where the Pentagon came out saying, yes, the UFO videos are real. The United States Navy came out saying, yeah, we know about these UFOs. Other groups are coming out talking about UFOs. And then here's the FBI. Well, we got a Sasquatch case on our hands. Okay. 43 years to talk about deer hair. It's BS. Okay. But the timing was immaculate. It's just like right now with what we see with NASA. NASA could have shut up just like the U.S. Air Force. Bill Nelson chose not to. But the problem is they've got their own Pandora's box. And Bill Nelson knows that there's nobody on this planet in the media who has the scruples to tackle him and say, what's in your filing cabinets, Bill? What's in your closet? Because NASA is the ones out of anybody who should know. And this is what aggravates me. And, even reading the comments in our chat rooms or on Twitter or whatever, it appalls me the way people aren't even upset by this. It appalls me.
Right. Right. And I think it's, not for me personally, but I know for a lot of people, it's like taking away, baseball and apple pie. Like NASA's just been around for a lot of people, and they look to it for exploration and to create heroes, right? And anytime anything happened with NASA, it was on TV and we were excited. And that's kind of the NASA that a lot of us grew up with, right? Well, it's not the same thing anymore. Maybe it never was, right? According to you. And that's absolutely, potentially the case. And, Darcy's recent documentary, and obviously the knowledge that you and I have had from a representative from NASA. So, I've heard it from the horse's mouth. It's not like I'm not a denier at all personally, but it's just hard to not report on, the moves that NASA makes, simply because it is so interesting to see these moves and to wonder why. Why now? Dave, is my question kind of along what you're going along with there. It does seem like perhaps because we're in an age of technology, NASA can't keep this a secret so much. I have a camera that sees the moon in full frame. I can see really well now. Our technology is in the public's hands. So if something is going on, it's really hard to just to sweep it under the rug. And
No, I
so
understand.
they have taken it upon themselves to be a party of this discussion. And I see your frustration. However, in my idealistic view, potentially see this as a line in the sand where they're like, look, obviously, just like the Air Force can't talk about this past 75 years, they can't talk about their past. Let's look into the future. Let's look at unclassified information that we can all discuss and review and see how we can move forward about discussing this in a pure and transparent way. That would be great. If that's the line in the sand that we're seeing. We've never heard dialogue like this from NASA before. Have they ever done a public committee like this before, where they've taken a topic that's kind of mysterious and gone with it? Have they ever put together a team to discover the bottom of the ocean for some reason? I'm just saying, it's something. I find it interesting. By no means do I expect pure transparency. Of course, they've never done it. I do feel your frustration. I hope there's just 1% of you that I can sway to leave it open to a maybe.
And I'm gonna counter that, Tim, because I think it was very well said. Very well said. But I'm going to counter that with a challenge. Okay. And that is because our listener, Jules, in the chat room, she said something. There is just so much to be pissed about. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Okay. And like Crystal says, it upsets me, but what can we do about it? I mean, if you get too loud, here comes a couple of jerks telling you to keep your mouth shut. Look, this is about a story that is going to affect each and every one of us on this planet. Whether you believe in UFOs or not, whether you're skeptical or not, this is the road we are going down. The door has been opened. And the people who are in the know are not saying what they know. All right? All you have to do is tweet NASA. You don't have to be rude about it. Tweet them and say, what's in your closet? Hashtag NASA, what's in your closet? Or hashtag NASA UFO files. Where are they? All right.
Yeah.
What frustrates me is that if I was running a newsroom, if I had my own radio station where I had a newsroom, I would have my journalists, my reporters contacting NASA to ask them, where's your files? 3 words, the most important 3 words that need to be asked. And nobody has asked it. Not CNN, not Fox, not NBC, ABC, the New York Times. Nobody has asked NASA, where's your files? Because we know it's happened. We've heard the voices from the cockpits and from the lunar landers. Imagine standing on the moon, people, like some of the brave Apollo astronauts. And I'm not blaming them. Those men back then were heroes. But imagine standing on the moon all alone. You're the one of 2 human beings on the moon. And there are craft around you. There are strange lights around you. And you don't know what those lights are going to do to you. Thankfully, they did nothing, as far as we know. As far as we know.
And
but
Dave, if I can break in, they're expected to be completely silent while it's happening, and they're getting no response from Houston. nothing but basic questions, because the dialogue and the transcript is out there. They
They're
must have had to really calm themselves down up there and stay cool.
They were trying to talk, and Houston was cutting them off, saying, "You can't say that. You can't say that." Or, pardon me, I'm paraphrasing here. Okay? You're all alone 250,000 miles from Earth. Okay? And there are lights around you, and you are being told to shut up. Okay? It's disgusting. The scientific community, especially, should be ashamed of themselves for even supporting NASA on this. The scientific, and I challenge anybody, and I know they're listening right now, because Science Bob is in our chat room. Anybody involved with the SCU, the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, they should be the first ones right now having a press release stating that we do not support NASA in this crap. They should be calling out NASA with the power that they have. But the problem is their media guy, who claims to be a journalist, is a fake journalist who's never worked a day in journalism. And he's supposed to know everything about journalism, but he's never worked a day in it. And he doesn't know how to create a potential press release, which could get these SCU. You want to fire it up? SCU could fire this thing up right now. Right now. But they won't, because they're all interconnected, and they're all going to let this play out. It's BS. And this is why, as we go home tonight, remember, there is no disclosure. None. It is all confirmation about little dots in the sky that, oh, the aliens may be here. They may be here. All right? It's garbage. And I hate to end the week that way, but it's absolute garbage. And the scientific community should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And if you support NASA on this, shame on you as well. And I know I'll rant more about it next week. Tim Senor, thank you. Appreciate you, Tim. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Spreaker, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we have room for them too. Good night. For God's sakes. Where did this stop? We're going great. Going frickin' great. I'm going to snap this fucking computer in half. It's 3 times it's done it to me now. There's no update. Give me a second, guys. I did cut my hair, Uncle Jimbo. Okay, why are you still showing live? We're not live. Cut out. Give me 1 second here. Oh, this just pisses me off. Hold on. Oh, nice. I gotta figure out where the show cut out here. I am so done with this computer. I'm gonna get another tower instead of a laptop for it. I did, Science Bob. So where did it cut?
With how you feel their silence put a shake in his voice, and you could tell that he said things like, "I hope you can hear me."
Check out this film, this documentary by Darcy Weir. It can be found right now on Amazon Prime, Hulu, Apple, Google Play, Apple TV, and many more play you. It's worth the okay, so this hour is garbage. All right. Figure this out. I'm not even dealing with it tonight. Screw it. I'm not dealing with it tonight. I'm not dealing with it. It's just like that. I am not dealing with it. You know what I'm going to do here, guys? I'm going to write a letter to the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies on behalf of our listeners. And I am going to explain to them very politely. All right. Oh. Adam, this is not progress. This is progress. It is not progress, Adam. If this is progress, then I'd hate to see what moving forward looks like. Gemini, Apollo, the shuttle program. Some people are just so bloody blind. So bloody blind. So anyways, what I'm going to do for all of you is I'm going to write an email letter to the SCU. And I am going to ask them point blank where they stand on NASA, and will they stand up for the UFO community in not supporting NASA's study, since they already know what is going on. I'm going to make it sound very professional. It's not going to be a whining or complaining letter, but I'm going to do that for you guys because I think it's important. And in the meantime, this weekend, I'm buying a new frigging computer. No more of this laptop bullshit. Well, since I'm not editing anything tonight, I'm going to call it an early night here. But I will write that letter and I will fill you all in on it. I will do that for you. Don't forget this weekend, After Hours with Grant Baker, but right before, and his team of Danielle and Nick. And right before them, Jessica Jones on Off the Trails, both Saturday and Sunday night, both starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We love the support you guys are giving them right now. Thank you for allowing them to grow and being a part of it. I really do appreciate that, guys. But very much thank you for a wonderful week on you guys taking us through Spaced Out Radio and having a lot of fun with you. So thank you, guys. Much love to everybody. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and make it happen. And leave a comment below on what you think. And yeah, go tease NASA on Twitter. Tell them that they're looking stupid at NASA. See you guys all tomorrow, or I'll see you on Monday. Who will my guest be Monday? Hold on. Hold on. I'll tell you. Where to go? Monday, the 24th. John Russell. We'll be back. Ghosts, aliens, angels, spirits of the dead. We're talking about it all. We'll see you all then. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.